everybody. Welcome to the Midweek Mix-Up Podcast 2-year anniversary podcast. We've got some awesome guests here for you this week. Of course, returning guests in the awesome King David from Iron Lords podcast. And of course, Gaz from Game On Daily. Both of these have been here multiple times now. Need no introduction.
He's off already.
You forgot to use your sound effect there, didn't you?
I had a little bit of reverb.
And of course, another awesome guest this week as well to dive into the awesome upcoming Xbox game and current. It was in the Steam bestsellers list not too long ago and probably still up there as well for Hypercharge Unboxed. Joe as well. Another indie Joe, as we discovered before the show. Welcome all. We will get into the introductions first and foremost. Our regular panel. General C, how are you doing today, brother? What you've been up to?
Hello. Survived the bulk of the heat wave by playing some Skyrim.
Lucky bastard.
But yeah, I haven't played much, just a bit of Skyrim during the heat wave. I found it hard to concentrate on that. I think I must have played it for about an hour, and I was like, "What am I doing in the game now?" Because I was just so hot. It's like I couldn't think straight. So yeah, sun's cooked me. So
you have to take your clothes off and play naked, sir. It's a heat wave. This is the excuse.
What
I was doing. I mean, I was sitting in my underpants, so.
All right, that's pretty good. That's
and it was still hot.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, stop wearing the woolly ones. That's for the winter time.
Your thermals on.
The thermal underwear.
Oh dear me. But yeah, I know that feeling. We attempted to play a bit of Forza Hot Wheels last night, and I had my feet in a bucket of ice cold water wearing only board shorts, and it was just not working. It was still like I actually ended up heating the water up.
I almost went and sat outside.
Was it like
in
a
the
hot
garden.
tub?
It was more like a hot tub by the end of the stream. Yeah.
I almost went and sat outside in the garden and used the X screen on the Series S.
Oh.
That would have been the
Was that
probably the
close?
better option. Oh dear me. Pat, how are you doing today, brother? What you been up to?
Well, yeah, I'm doing good, guys. It's still warm out here. There's no wind coming inside the house. Everything is open here, but I'm sweating like it's crazy.
I feel you.
But yeah, of course, playing some Hot Wheels, guys. They couldn't release the freaking Hot Wheels on the hottest day. It's crazy.
It's in the name.
But yeah, it's in the name. I know. Also, I'm kind of addicted to the Power Wash Simulator for some reason. It's so satisfying to play that game. It's I don't know what it is, but I've been playing it for like 3 days already or something. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and of course, Hot Wheels. It's better than I imagined, man. I was waiting for this. We were already talking about it.
Yeah.
When we were playing a few months ago, what kind of DLC would they get? And yeah, we were, well, at least I was expecting some, maybe Hot Wheels, maybe something else, but it's so good, man. I cannot wait to jump back into it. So
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Mick. How are you doing today, brother? How's the cupboard of ultimate heat? Is it all good?
Yeah, it's better than it was yesterday, isn't it? Oh god, that was painful. Yeah, it was. It was definitely not. If we were streaming last night, the camera was not going to be on. But yeah,
Bros,
no,
I filmed the Source skit with a hoodie on yesterday
Oh,
in that
dude.
heat.
oh my,
you
with
are
the
a
lights
sucker.
on me, bro.
You are a
Crazy, man.
sucker.
You did your best work under the heat lamp, sir.
Thank you. Under the heat lamp.
It's probably because he wanted it done in one take. He was just like, just
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Hey, he
It
was
actually one
supremely
thing,
focused.
But yeah,
One
I've just
Sorry.
been playing that Stray game actually on PC.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite good. Yeah, it's good. I like it. But
Yeah.
other than that, a bit of Forza Hot Wheels, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen shout out to Gamers Watch because Sean did an awesome little review of Stray yesterday as well, which I've watched. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. It's a good little review, and of course his kind of whole idea of playing a cat game is just to be the most annoying little shit possible, like every cat in the world. So it seems like it's hit that mark. You can be an annoying little shit. So good work. Next up for our regular panel, Boxy. How are you doing today, brother? What you been up to?
I'm still sweating. We had 40.2 degrees here today. No idea what that's in Fahrenheit. I think like something above 100, definitely.
It's like 106
so
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, 106 or something. Yeah, it's crazy hot. I had to remove the covers of my PC because it kept overheating. It is ridiculous. And I had to drive today a car for 3 hours that didn't have AC. So yeah.
Ouch.
Other than that,
I drive for a living, and I can vouch. 40 degrees yesterday, driving down the motorway with the windows open and no aircon is not pleasant.
It's no fun. No fun. Yeah, well, other than that, I'm doing good. I'm getting adjusted to the new job. A little less game time because of that, but yeah, I have so many games to play. I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 one. I bought Stray, or actually, I bought the PS Plus extra subscription and downloaded it, and but nothing really keeps me. I'm always getting back to Age of Empires 4. Season 2 is phenomenal, and I have to say it's getting tougher. The community is getting better. I didn't rank as high as I did in season 1. So yeah, I need to ramp up my skills there. But I'm super addicted to that game. It's like every night it consumes me. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Awesome stuff.
I just remember you updating us. I can't remember what day it was, but you had 3 wins and then you had 6 wins.
Yeah, that was the day when season 2 dropped, and then you had to start the ranked matches again. So you have to play 5 matches before they rank you in the world ranking, and I was crushing it. It was like, yeah, man, I'm so good. I won all the 5 matches you have to do that you rank, and I won them fairly quickly. And then I was like ranked at gold level 2, and I was like, Jesus, that's like mid-tier ranking. And in season 1 I was like Emperor 1. That's the second highest rank you can get. Only like 2% of the players have that rank, and then and now I really have to ramp up my strategies for some reason. It's
you're
tough,
just a
man.
mere soldier now, no longer an emperor.
No longer an emperor. I'm only gold 2. Yeah.
Awesome
You
stuff.
got ambition, so don't worry, sir.
Yeah, that ambition comes automatically when you love a game like that. It is so good.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It is.
Before we introduce our special guests this week, a quick shout out to Super Chat coming through there from Fantos for £5. He says, "Happy birthday, Midweek Mix-Up. Have a multi-pack of ice pops on me." Thank you, sir. Much appreciated and definitely required. First of all, Gaz from Game On Daily. Two awesome hosts, of course, over there with his sidekick, trying to keep him in line, although he has been getting a little bit more saucy lately. He's got a lot of more hot takes than he's ever had this year. It's been awesome to see. But how are you doing today, brother? What have you been up to?
Dark Horse, man. People don't know him, but he's the actual saucy one. Everyone, I just say my basic bitch stuff, but it's him with the brains. So yeah, you gotta watch out for him. Now you're starting to realize Ace's true magic. You have no
Bro, he's
idea.
96% right all the time.
Yeah, you remember that 96?
Yeah, he's 96 because I'm 97.
He misses you as well, man. But yeah, man, I'm here. I'm hyped just to talk with Joe. I had the pleasure of speaking with Joe as well on XNC and just charting the development of that. I think Like for me personally, I know everyone says indie and everyone cares about indies, but I genuinely give a shit. I don't know about you guys, but I do because we're all indie, all of us in this space.
Yeah.
So I think there's naturally like with Joe, your story as well and your personal battles. It's just I just like people who are honest, and you're one of those honest people there, and you have a success story to boot. So it's motivation for all of us, really, here in this room to keep striving and doing what we're doing. All of us are on that same journey, man. So I'm really honored, and I'm not just saying that to suck your. I'm really honored. This is not cold show, Joe. I can say whatever the I want.
You on the lookout, Joe?
Next up, of course, Lord King Crocs himself. He's been rocking those Crocs in 95 different variety multicolours. How are you doing today, sir? What you been up to? Is it the rainbow Crocs?
Rocking
Yes, it
them
is.
Crocs, Joe. And this one is
There we go.
And,
Love it.
and you throw them in sports mode like. See, and I gotta explain why global warming is happening right now, guys. It's because you don't have your feet in Crocs. If you did, Crocs with no socks, you're just outside, you just rocking. But they got on shoes and you got on sneakers. You're heating up the planet. Stop it now.
Crocs are awesome, man. Crocs are awesome.
Yes,
So when are the Iron Lords Crocs coming out? So we can
working on it.
order them.
working,
Really?
working diligently. What's crazy is you'll be really surprised how many six-figure people, and I'm assuming that they're six-figure people because their position demands such. I think it does, right? I mean, the products that they make is six figures. It should be right in that space, if not more. So I say, yeah, those guys hit me up and they're like, yeah, I'm wearing Crocs. I can't outwardly support because the powers that be, but I got on Crocs. Too. I'm like, no, that's what's up.
That's wicked.
But it just
Hey,
started
King,
off
King.
something mindless, though. Yeah.
King, I got you, man.
See, that's what I'm talking. And you know what's crazy? He's the only one right now. He said he has the windows open, right? Because he has on Crocs, and the breeze is just going through his toes.
Now I'm tempted to get mine as well. I have the same in green, though.
You see, it's no problem. Listen. I tell guys, real men wear Crocs. I don't care what anybody say. I see a guy in the supermarket. He looks at me. I look at him. We do that. On the street, you do that. You know why? Because you're secure. You're okay. It's fine. And a chick knows you have a sensitive side because you're rocking the Crocs. But don't let me put it in sports mode because that's when I go off the handle. But right now I'm playing Outriders. I think
The expansion, or
yes, that expansion because I played the first game when it came out like ad nauseum from its broken state to when they fixed it. I stuck around throughout everything, and because I thought they really had something. I love the difference in all the characters, like the classes, you know, from pyromancer to the ones that spit the poison and stuff. I thought it was really good, right? And I said they just need to work on a couple of things. And I'm not really active in the community to go up to their boards and post, but when the DLC did hit, all my stuff that I asked about that they can do, they did. Like, how do you make exotics more exotic? But they did it. And how do you make a skill tree expand because it was very expansive and very unique to make it more unique? And they did so. So 9 times out of 10, the people that you have in your group, yeah, you could be a pyro, but there's different builds that you will have, and you can have the same exact clothes on with some of the same mods, but then the way you spec your character out will not be the same.
Yeah.
And the level of damage that one person would do and how you work hand in hand with like one dude doing overheat or one dude doing this, it's really phenomenal. So I'm at a point right now where I have like 4 season passes going on. And this is a real conundrum for me because you have Fortnite, you have Fall Guys, you have the DLC that I'm playing right now, and I have my Destiny. So I'm just like bouncing in between, but I see myself gravitating more towards Outriders because I really think they have something really good, and I think it'll be around for a while.
Fingers crossed. They obviously pulled it
Sweet.
back because it had a really rocky start.
Yeah,
The post game wasn't too great when you got to the end game at the end of the first one. It was okay, but wasn't great. Needed a bit more. But they've obviously pulled it back enough to warrant DLC, and it's went from there. And that's the thing. It's the fact that they've pulled it back enough to warrant a DLC. I think the only thing that we've got to try and shift away from, and I think everybody agrees, is the fact that games can't continue to release like that and then have to catch up afterwards. We've seen it numerous times through the years where they've had to play catch up and then rebuild it, as opposed to just releasing a really great game with next to no massive issues and go from there. But they didn't have any help from Square Enix, let's put it that way.
none. And they did it in a pandemic, and they did it. It was really set up to fail, and I think Game Pass saved it.
Yeah.
So shout out to Microsoft,
100%.
shout out to Phil Dominus, Maximus Aurelius Spencer for.
I'm sure he adds
having
another one
foresight.
every week.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's done with names. He's done with names. All he has to do is actually retire at this period of time. He's after this successful generation where he ushers everything really far. Either step up to another space, or actually just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, he should ride out. Yeah. In fact, actually, I think if we can ride out into the sunset, the next 2 years needs to happen. Strong Xbox years, then hand over to Sarah Bond or whoever he wants to.
No,
hand
don't.
over. What do you mean? You don't want a Sarah Bond? You don't?
No,
Sarah Bond
I honestly would take Matt Booty, and
Okay, maybe Matt
I would
Booty,
take Matt Booty for a couple of reasons because
Same.
of everybody wants to give him the jacket of he's mismanaging and stuff like that. No, imagine going to sleep with 3 kids, 4 kids, and you wake up and you have 16 kids in your house, and you're like, what the hell? And they just come in there and have their own little things going on, and you have to figure it out, and you have to fix it, and you have to get that stuff into place. But all that you have to do in the background. You can't do it in the foreground because you don't want to take away the shine from other people who's actually emerging and stuff like that, because your position is pretty much solidified. What you have to do is get this stuff out. So when this stuff does start rolling and these games do start coming out, who are you going to look at and say, oh, who did a phenomenal job? Right?
If
It's this guy that
they
managed
start
all
rolling.
these
If
studios.
they start managing, then
They
I'll give
would.
them the props.
They would.
Yeah.
It's only one studio that is egregious in this space, and let's stop, like trying to turn a blind eye and say y'all just talk about Hot Wheels. So Turn 10 and Playgrounds is definitely on their job. It's just one studio that's acting up.
Yeah.
343.
The thing is, I've seen so many people talk about Sarah Bond is gonna be the successor to Phil. The thing is, we really don't know about the qualities of management from all of these execs.
Yes.
It's just Sarah Bond is way more present in front of a camera
Very
than
good
Matt
point.
Booty is. But the thing is, it's not their job to be on camera. It's
Right.
to manage the stuff. And we, from the outside, really can't judge the quality of management from all these executives. So
Yeah.
I didn't back Phil until I met him.
Yeah.
After I met him and I got a chance to look in his eyes and hear exactly what he's saying, like I've been in a managing and boss position for a very long time, so I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. And when I got a chance to hear what he was saying, and I looked in his eyes when I'm talking to him, I'm like, yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
I
Are
mean,
you talking about Phil or are you talking about Matt?
Phil.
Phil. Oh,
I've never got a chance to meet Matt yet. So it was supposed to be at last E3. I would have got a chance to meet Matt. But hopefully next E3 I get a chance to meet him and get a chance to sit down with him and chop it up, see what's up, see what's your plans, because we already know what Phil's plans is. He was a lifer there, right? So the thing is, he wants it to be prominent. What are everybody else's desires, right? We don't know what Sarah Bond's desires is for Microsoft if she became head of it, or what's Matt Booty's desires when they could go down the Don's way.
Yeah.
And we're back to the the dark ages. So we don't know. We got to see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. last
TV,
but not
TV.
least,
Oh
as
gosh, no.
last, I was gonna say, last but not least, the star of the show today, of course, Hypercharge. One of the 5 devs at Hypercharge. Joe, how are you doing today, brother? How is things going?
Good, thank you. You can hear me, can't you? Because I recently
Yes.
just
Yep.
changed the
Yes.
good.
Yep. Loud and clear.
Yeah, things are going good. Recently managed to buy a portable air conditioning unit for the bedroom.
Sounds like a win.
With this
Oh,
heat
lucky
wave.
sod.
Not jealous at all.
I timed it.
Yeah.
So I think it was the last one in stock. It came the next day, just before the heat wave, so I could set it up. Oh,
Right.
best thing I've ever purchased. So because I can't really, when I'm working, I don't mind the heat, but when I'm going to sleep, it's a different ball game then
Yeah.
for me. I get really uncomfortable if I'm hot in the bedroom and I just cannot sleep. So it's been a lifesaver for me. But other than that, just been still catching up from the wave of viralness, if you will.
Yes. It's been awesome
Still
to see it.
catching up.
It's been
He's not
absolutely
talking
awesome to see
about
it.
COVID, people. He's talking about the game.
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah.
No, it's been absolutely awesome to see it. To be honest, I think I was watching the Xbox Era guy, Special Nick, and everybody interview you as well, and he was mentioning kind of we've kind of seen it on the timeline at something about a year ago, and I think everybody's kind of kept a keen eye on it since then. But it's really, this year specifically, has really started to kind of blow up, specifically on social media as well. How initially has that been kind of to yourself to see it go from kind of not kind of struggling but be on the outlier to be what is pretty much a focal of kind of indie spotlight, should we say, at the minute?
I mean, it was surreal, but at the same time, like, I mean, all of us on the team, but especially speaking for myself, I always had, maybe in a cliche sort of way, or a believe in destiny type thing.
Yeah.
I always did deep down in my heart believe that if we keep working hard and believing in ourselves and each other as a team, and have that sort of mindset and communication of persistence, persevere, the game would eventually reach this. So I'm still a little bit, it hasn't fully hit me yet, but at the same time, I knew it'd eventually happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. You still you had belief in the project and belief in what you were creating
Yeah.
enough to know that it will
Yeah.
take off.
Yeah, because excuse me, choking on my spit. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is Hypercharge. How can I say it? Technically speaking, Hypercharge had a successful launch, leaving early access on Steam. We did make a top seller for one day. Nothing. We didn't have any exposure nowhere near like we had, recently. But we have had moments throughout the history of Hypercharge where when we've spoken about the game or showed early previews, in the very early days of development, we did have a few things gain a lot of traction, posts on Reddit, trailers, certain big influencers, YouTubers playing the game. So it's been a very slow build-up with its ups and downs. But with the past few weeks, what's happened, like you said, the main spotlight, this has, funnily enough, been a second launch for Hypercharge on. I mean, especially on Steam, it's like a second launch, like a new lease of life.
Yeah.
Because when it all went viral, like the thing is, guys, and it was an Xbox sort of marketing push that it was to try and gauge how the Xbox community would resonate with Hypercharge. I never intended for anything to cross over to Steam, but it did. Like
So
massively.
the Xbox marketing push is the reason of the success.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Pretty
it
much,
probably
it was-
hand in hand with the fact that I think at that point as well, because and like most people, when they were seeing Hypercharge and you were mentioning Xbox all the time, a lot of them didn't realize it was on Steam and Switch at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think
yeah.
as soon as you started mentioning it, and then all of a sudden you were like, it's already available on Steam and Switch, and we're like,
Yeah.
really? I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that. We have already had a few meetings with like some companies and whatnot, and some of the first things they've said is, "So when is your game coming out?" And we're like, "Technically, it's been out for 4 years."
I actually saw a comment. It was like, "This is a scam. Tell us when the games actually come out." And like thinking it was we got news for you.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Getting a lot of people in the chat also asking when it's coming. So I said,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll talk about it.
So
Roughly.
the thing is, just to point out, like with the marketing for the Xbox release, there's been a few articles where it's like how to make a game go viral, blah blah blah, pretend an old game is new, and it's very broad and a little bit, it gets almost disingenuous the way people write about things. But it was never meant to be a disingenuous marketing beat or campaign or whatever tag you want to put on this. All it was me going on Twitter, making a post about our game because we already had the dev kits for Hypercharge.
Mhm.
We knew we were going to bring it on Xbox. We have the technical capabilities to do so. There was no really thought put into it so much in terms in the moment. I never thought, oh, you know what, guys, you know what? Let's pretend the game's never been out and let's try and trick everybody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no, that was not the case. And if
Yeah.
anybody did just a little bit of research, you can follow the timeline and see what actually happened. And a lot of it was just good timing and luck.
Yeah.
However, going back to what I've mentioned, yeah, I just did the post and it just hit the right people. And
You know
at
what
the
it
time,
hit, right, Joe?
yeah,
It hit me because
it did.
I'm the individual that don't care about Steam, and I damn sure don't care about my Switch. So and I have a high powered PC and I have a low powered Switch. But when you're talking to the Xbox fan base, it hits and it resonates with them. Then what happens is you have the Me Too people that were sitting inside watching and was like, "Oh, that's coming to Xbox." But you was like, "Yeah, it's on Steam right now if you want to play, and it's on Switch." And they were like, "What?" And they went out and they went and got it. So the individual whoever wrote an article or the people that ever just went under your tweet and try to make you seem like, oh, you put out an old game. First of all, if it's in beta or if it's being cultivated till it reaches its apex, then it's an actual release. That's something totally different. The game hasn't been released to the wild in that manner yet. So y'all are actually doing something fantastic. So you weren't disingenuous at all when it came
I
to
appreciate that. Honestly, thank you. Because, I was saying to Gaz in the last interviews, little things like that, they do get to you a bit because it's like it wasn't the intent. There was no sort of weird malicious intent involved with it. It was literally like you kind of said. It is a new game to a new audience on a new platform that we have never released for. So, of course, when I'm doing marketing from a marketing point of view, I'm not going to make a post that says, you know what, guys, our game's 4 years old, but, it's coming out on Xbox. No, like, as far as I'm concerned, we are making Hypercharge. It's had over 8 major content updates, significant updates for free so far, which we're very proud of, and it's impressive for our team size. So it's an evolve. Look, games are an evolving product now.
And what's the size of the team?
It's just 5 of us.
Oh my god! So I'm looking at the
for 5
game right
people.
now, right? And that's why I was like muting myself a couple of times because I was like, don't want to seem ignorant. And I'm looking at the game. I'm like, oh wow, really? And I said, I have a couple of questions. Coming from an ignorant standpoint, will it be released in Gamepass? Probably can't talk about that stuff right now. And that was probably like my biggest thing. But the fidelity of it looks phenomenal. And I know it's like a build up to that space, like initially from the initial drop to having a group of people gravitate towards it and they stay there. Have you found that your core base has stayed relentless with you guys through your growth? Because you said you have 8 major updates. So has your core base stayed with you from the initial drop?
So sorry, when you say core base, are you meaning as in are you
Well,
talking fans here?
The early
Right. Yeah.
adopters.
Well, you can look at your metrics, right? And you can tell like how many people play per month or how many people play per week on that, right? Have you noticed that has it stayed steady and grown since every update and stuff like that? And you have grown that base?
Yeah, there's definitely been a slow increase. What a lot
Right.
of people do is little bit naively, but I understand why. They'll go on steamcharts.com
Mhm.
and then they'll see there's a bit of a stigma in game development and games in general where if there isn't a concurrent user base of 100,000 players, your
Right.
game's dead. Game's dead. You get all that, and it's so irritating. Like
Yeah.
honestly. So, but for us, it's slowly gone up a little bit, and I'm talking in the hundreds. Like, but the thing is that people don't understand is, I believe Steam charts also doesn't count Steam profiles that have private, set their accounts to private. It doesn't
Oh.
show them, and it also I don't think shows players who play solely offline. And a lot of our player base, is offline, split screen, and local play. We're not trying to be the next Fortnite. We're not trying to be the next COD. The great games, if you like them, fair enough. We're not. We're just trying to create a fun experience with our vision and the community's vision involved. But the reason I mention it is just, there's too much focus on dead game. No, how do you define a dead game? A dead game from a game design point of view, or game developer's point of view, is if we were to just suddenly abandon it, never update it again, and give no notice as to why. That's a dead game.
Yes.
In our case, there's still updates. We've still got hundreds of people playing. Yes, not thousands and thousands, but I mean, come on. We haven't got a huge marketing budget. It isn't even that type of game. It's not an esports centric game. It's not PvP. It's a casual, chill out with your family, or just go in now and then type of game. But there's too much of this, and I'm ranting a bit, so I apologize.
No.
Dead game. It's like, shut up, saying you go make a game then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
I had a great.
It sounds dangerously like you're using common sense, mate, and you gotta knock that on the air.
I
straight
had
away.
a great friend who passed away in iDizzy, and he would play Ark.
Yeah.
He would play Ark. And everybody would be like, "Why are you playing that dead game?" It wasn't dead for him.
Yeah.
And it grew. And as they put patches in and stuff like that, people started going to it. Well, Ark 2 is about to be released soon, and he would have really freaking loved that game. So, to hell with what anybody says about anything being dead, because I'm pretty sure, with all certainty, as I'm wearing this Xbox chain right now, the moment that your game is released in Xbox on any capacity, and the community gets by and starts pushing said game, it's going to really be hypercharged.
Yeah.
And then you can just text back, to one or two guys dead, right? Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it, man.
But the
Trust.
metrics will change. The goalposts of what will be dead. They'll change
Exactly.
Yeah,
to
it will.
something else.
Yeah.
If we
So
reach
much is sold
100,000
million.
concurrent users, they still
Yeah.
say dead game. So
Yeah.
you
No,
can't.
oh
win.
yeah, it's another Fortnite has 10 times more than that.
There's
but-
people out there that say
Bullshit.
Fortnite is a dead game. They're
Yeah,
just-
there are
they're
people
just
that say
silly.
that.
Yeah.
They're just silly.
Yeah.
Quickly, just getting to a couple. So, Paul, 6-month channel membership. He says, "Happy birthday, Midweek Mix-Up. What a star-studded panel." And then a $5 super chat from Red Wolf. He says, "Everyone is here. Whoa, happy birthday. Keep up the great work, Dutch, and shout out to the Hypercharge. Very excited. And a big fist bump to Big Daddy Gaz."
Thank you, Red Wolf. I see you there.
Joe, speaking of other Joes, obviously we've had Joe from Song of Iron on as well, and he went through the kind of same route as yourselves, because again, he was a one-man team. The only other guy kind of helping him develop he's the guy that had in for music, which was obviously doing the soundtrack for him. And he went through the same route as yourself, which was essentially self-promo. Everything on Twitter, doing development updates, showing game on Twitter all the time, and kind of building up the hype that way. He had a couple of little pushes in some kind of brief Xbox trailers and things like that every now and again, but nothing huge. and relied heavily upon the kind of community to do it with them, should we say. They kind of boosted up. And obviously, before the release of his game, he was on the Iron Lords. I'm sure Gaz had Juon as well, and RDX and Boomsticks and Hours. And it really seems like, specifically for indies, and we know what the budgeting is like for indie developers, it is really tough to try and not only get your game in there, but try to then market it. And we've heard over times as well, specifically from the likes of PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox and things, certain parameters to get your game on the front page and things like that can be quite difficult to either maneuver, manage, be in the click, should we say, or have the money to have your game on the front page, which some platforms do, which is a kind of a monetary thing. Okay, you can, if you pay X amount, we'll kind of promote the thing for you. I don't know about you, but I feel like specifically for indies, I think in terms of community, that is definitely something that I think indies are making the most of these days to try and kind of push their games a little bit further and everything about that. And how much is really the community that's been behind it, the supportive section, kind of boosted you guys up to continue and kind of press on with the development?
So yeah, I think what you're saying is like a lot of when you're self-funded, you know, that's pretty much the definition of being an independent developer.
Exactly.
There's no outsourced funding. You rely heavily on lots of organic marketing or organic ways of promoting. You got to understand, when you're such a small team, you yourself is also the brand. Always good to sort of look at it in that way. So that's something that we've only been able to do, is just organically push it, you know, trying to learn platforms like TikTok. But honestly, so that account grew. I got it to grow quite quick. I think so before everything went viral, I think it was like 280,000 followers. But I literally used it 2 years ago, installed it, was on it for about 5 seconds, then uninstalled it because I was scared. I was like, I don't know what this platform is, but we've got nobody who we can go to talk, or you don't know who to talk to because you're just this tiny speck in a vast ocean. And that's just the harsh reality of it. So a year after, I gave it another go and really got my head stuck in and started to learn it. But again, it's just, that's time, and time is money. And you've got to choose as indie developers where to put that time in terms of how you organically grow. And in going to the question about the community, I always say that the constructive players of said game are an integral part of the development process. That I always like to see those type of players part of the development team. So yes, we're 5 indie developers, but if I was to account the hardcore fans, we're actually quite a big family. And those are the players, the champions, the advocates, who help you see your game in a different light. Because there's a saying, and I hope I articulate this right, but like when you're inside under the hood of an engine sort of thing, and you're tinkering with everything, you don't get the full picture from somebody who might be on the outside. So you might miss certain things that somebody from the outside thinks, well, how about you move this there? Or do you think you should be doing that at this time? Or I've got this idea, could we put this in the engine? So when you apply that to game development, it's like you really can, if you go about it strategically and constructively and positively and communicate it in a good way, you can work together with the community to like boost the game's development and shape it and mold it with their vision. The only danger with that is
you listening to Joe?
the only danger with that is, and I think I mentioned this to Gaz on the last interview, is that making games, in my opinion, is a form of art, and you don't want to get
100%.
into the trap of so you have a vision or you have a painting, and you should always have your vision, if you get where I'm going, or your vision of how you want to do it, your personal traits, what makes a game unique. So something I found is sometimes you can get too involved with the community and make a game that everybody wants, and then becomes kind of subjective, and you lose the core foundation of what you want the game. So it's all about
Absolutely.
balance, having a good having being receptive to the constructive feedback, but also having the game is still your baby in a
Being
way.
true to the
if that
original
makes
vision.
sense.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
hugely reactionary to everything that's happening around you, opposed to just keeping your ideals in place and what your structure and your foundation is. And don't shift those things. It's keeping your
Yeah.
principles. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, exactly. You worded it much quicker than I tried to explain it.
No, because we see a lot of times that a lot of people think they understand what goes into game development. A lot of people think they can be a developer, but don't understand exactly what was your baselines and your principles going into something. And there's a reason for why you didn't do X, Y, and Z in said game,
Yeah.
because then it would not be exactly what your vision was.
Yeah.
So staying true to your vision and seeing your vision through, regardless to what. I mean, sometimes it's like you said, it's subjective. It could be a detriment or it could be a help. But what you would do is, and as a good leader, and you sound like a great leader, to be honest with you, you will definitely listen to whatever criticism is, and you'll probably give it a shot, see what it looks like, and say, does it really change the ideal cores of what we were doing? And if it does, then that's not something for us. Or if it doesn't, and it aligns with what your idea cores is, it might be implemented later on in one of those major 8 updates that you did have, because I'm pretty sure that some of the stuff went into some of those updates, because it's pretty much like when you're standing too close to the fire, you really can't really feel the heat. You just step
Yeah.
back off of it a little bit to just feel it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a
wow,
good way
yeah,
to put it.
this is definitely what we need to do. So I
Yeah.
I totally understand everything that you were
Mm.
talking about.
No, brilliant, awesome.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
you mentioned that in the show as well. I think what was the feature you said? We said you could get hopefully, but it would take away from the toy elements of the game. I think it's like other characters you could like.
Yeah, I
things.
think it was cross promotion with other brands where,
Yeah,
for
that's it.
example, yeah, hypothetically speaking, if we were to have like the real GI
Yeah,
Joe,
Hasbro.
Batman,
Yeah.
yeah, Hasbro type stuff, and
Yeah.
another big known brands. The thing that makes Hypercharge amazing is, for example, I'll call them. We have spinners. You know you know what toy
Copyright
they.
friendly.
Beyblade.
Yeah, yeah. But that's
Yeah.
the thing that makes it funny and it gives it its charm. Now, if we were to
Yeah.
do something what Fortnite, see, I would argue that, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it
Right.
works for specific games, but I would argue, in my opinion, Fortnite has lost kind of its identity because it's become a very, very much meme culture. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it doesn't work or there isn't like in term a business model, of course it works, the money they make. But if we're talking having a personable relationship between the player and the core game, I think that has kind of lost itself.
Oh yeah,
Because
well,
we could, if we're careful about it, we could release our own versions of other toys
Right.
and have parody things, and it could be. I think that would be more impactful and have more meaning than just slapping all these real brands in.
I agree with
you
you.
meant- You mentioned on one of the other podcasts, you said about you'd really like to get a Master Chief. In the
I mean, I would
game.
like that. I'm not going to lie. I would like
That would be
that.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you in the sense that, okay, so like looking at it, ideally it'd be fantastic. You will have like GI Joe versus the Hypercharge team, right?
Mm.
And but again, does it take away from exactly who the brand is, especially if your brand is you're branding yourself that you want to be mentioned as GI Joes. You want your toys
Yeah.
on the shelf next to GI Joe. So that's, I mean, do you chase the bag or do you create the bag?
yeah.
I
That's
like
the
that.
thing.
We
Right.
want Hypercharge, the
Yes.
action figures. We want GI Joe, Batman. We want them shows to say, "Hey, would you like the Hypercharge to come onto our shows?" Not the other way
Exactly.
around. That's the mindset
Yes.
we want.
You're trying to build
Yeah.
Hypercharge up to be as synonymous as the name of GI Joe,
Yeah, yeah.
opposed to having GI Joe come in and you take a bag from them, because all you're doing is actually enhancing their brand. So what Fortnite is doing is, and I see I'm a prisoner of this as well. I jump into the game and I go straight to the store to see what's available, what
So
new
do I.
skin is
Yeah.
available. right?
I bought
So-
skins on Fortnite. I'll be honest. I
Exactly.
have.
But then it loses exactly who Fortnite was, but it also generates tons of money. So I believe that they fell down a rabbit hole that
Yeah.
they couldn't recover from. Because
Yeah.
once you start getting X amount of money from all these big like Disney, Warner Brothers and stuff like that, then you say to yourself, oh, well, people forgot the characters that we did make, because they make a ton of characters, but do they really sell as much as Spider-Man sells when he hits the store? So you don't want to overshadow your own characters
Yeah.
it's sake for a bag. I understand.
And I was
Totally
going to
get
say
it.
as well on
Exactly it.
on that note as well, Joe, you mentioned losing the vision, and we all know specifically with Fortnite, it was never meant to be a battle royale that had all these faces in.
Yeah,
It was
a
Fortnite Save the
building type
World.
thing.
Yeah,
It was Save the World. It was meant to
survival
be
sort of
this
game,
battle
right?
against
Yeah.
and protect and build this base and protect the base and things. And that is gone. They've actually ditched that entirely now, and it's only battle
Have they?
royale.
So that thing is all
You can
gone.
still actually have Save the World.
Can you actually still play it?
Yeah.
It's still
Surprising.
Fortnite Save the World is still there. It's just not marketed and pushed because again,
it doesn't make them as much money.
Yeah.
it won't. It will not. And I understand it from your principal standpoint, because I mean, I'm pretty sure you get hit with a ton of those questions all the time. Wouldn't it be great if you had this? Wouldn't it be great?
We get told to go free to play because the game's dead all the time.
What the hell with that? No.
We laugh about it now, but the thing is, they adjusted, and so may you. Hypercharge may not make
I have
sense
to
as a free
apologize,
thing.
guys. I forgot to tell my missus that I was in this podcast. And
Yeah,
she made my tea. So
Good.
Either way.
I'm as
Don't
real as
starve.
it comes.
Don't starve.
Oh, bless. No, but
Enjoy, man.
you may laugh at the notion of going free to play now, but it may make sense. It's not like in the future, if like the crowd grows and the numbers go, it's all about the numbers. The Xbox push will be pretty substantial. That could change things completely. I mean, if Epic did it, Epic's business relies on Fortnite almost now, and it's transformative for Epic.
Yeah.
And really, you could say they actually had a vision, but completely were driven by trends. They followed what PUBG did, and then capitalized and made their building mechanic, made it unique enough, and then this injection from meme culture, like you say, has kind of fair enough. I actually played Fortnite a lot early days when it wasn't that hyped, season 0 or whatever you call it, and it's become completely different. And I lost the way with, because I didn't like the core shooting mechanics.
See, I was the other
culture-
way, Gaz. I got
Is
into
it?
Fortnite because of all the elaborate skins that come to it, because I'm a Marvel fan, I'm a DC fan.
So that's quite.
And I had to train
interesting.
myself not to buy those skins, because I probably would have lost so much money just for buying stupid Spider-Man skins or stupid Batman skins.
Yeah.
Look, listen, as someone who's spent quite a lot on Apex Legends skins, at least you're playing it in a game that is third person. You can see the skins. Don't even
That's
ask
the
me
thing, though,
why I have spent that much money.
I think
It's
Fortnite's
so
a good game,
ridiculous.
but I don't personally enjoy it. I was only buying the skins for the fact that I am a fan of those
I know what
properties.
you mean.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
I enjoyed the
That's
hell out
crazy.
that game.
I had to stop doing that. It was becoming
I
an
wanted to
addiction.
stunt in the game. That's all I do. I just wanted people to see my little. There's like, I got all the heirlooms. It's hard. The drop rate is
I don't do the
ridiculous.
dancing stuff. My stuff is
No,
as y'all can see, I'm a Marvel junkie, right? So it's very hard for me to go see Thor: Love and Thunder, and then how brilliant are they when I come home from the movie and my son and I are playing, and he's like, "Dad, you want them?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you see his skins in the store?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I purchase it, but I don't tell him I purchased it and I have it on. And he's like, "Wow," because he doesn't have a job. But I gift it to him and I send it to him, and he's like, "Oh my God, my dad's the coolest," right? But it's that marketing that actually pushes that, and that's what they turned into. But the core gameplay of it, I'm hyper addicted to any type of survival, type of game, like a PUBG feel. I love PUBG to this day. The way that I go into the world is completely different than I do in any of those other games. And the way that I survive in the world is different, because you have a different type of tension, that you play with it. But I think I think you do, because I think PUBG stayed true to their principles,
Yeah,
right?
they
They
just.
didn't
I
change
played it in a while though.
to go with how Fortnite goes with it, which is a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more Destiny feel.
And
This
then they'll
thing,
go.
their thing is like pop, you got sniped in the head, your helmet went off. You better be glad that you had on a level 3 helmet, because if
Yeah.
you didn't, you would have been dead,
Yeah.
right? And
And that's the
you,
core game. Yeah,
Right,
Fortnite.
didn't-
You have like vortex nades. You
yeah,
have
yeah,
respawns.
it's
You have all
completely
this stuff.
different. So it's fun and it's realistic. But I can't wait to actually dig into Hypercharge, to be honest with you, because my interest is hugely peaked at this point in time. And everybody knows, King Crocs, anytime I get behind something, I get really quick.
Yeah.
I made
No,
Crocs
I mean-
a global brand. No, I'm just
Yeah.
joking.
I'll be interested to see where Hypercharge ends up in 5 years, because it's easy to like, the vision is so important, the core principle is so important, but when you're when
Man,
you
that
get
thing gets inside Game Pass. You can talk whatever you want to talk. It gets inside
Yeah,
Game Pass,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
25 million people of core subscribers. Not talking about the totality of the subscribers, which will probably be somewhere like around 35, close to 40. But you say the core subscribers, the one that's on a recurring bill, 25 million people get a chance, because just like me, I go in there and I see what's been added.
Yeah.
And now with that
And
cloud-based
when they go
thing,
in, and then they're like, yo, we've got lots of Xbox people, and our projections show if you put Master Chief in the game, you're going to make at least £5 million. Forget whatever Joe just said here
listen,
today.
the whole background is
There
going to
goes
change.
The
Joe-
floodgates open.
Joe's
Marvel's in there.
background is going to change. Joe's meal portions is going to change. Everything's going to change because
The game's going to be different. It's going
Yeah,
to be like,
right.
enjoy it.
Suddenly it's not Joe's wife bringing his meal. It's his
it's the
butler.
Oh man,
I'm a
It's-
total
it could
fan
happen.
of that,
It could happen.
of that actually happening, because you hear overnight success, and it's not really overnight success, man.
It
because
looks like it, but yeah.
You've been toiling away, you've been grinding, you've been listening, you've been updating, you've been fixing, and it's just when somebody else looks over to say, wow, man, that happened for him so quickly. They didn't see the grind, and they didn't see the hustle. They didn't see the ashy knees and the elbows.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I make jokes like, like a saying where, I think it's a saying where, I came from the gutter type thing.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't come from the gutter, but I did paint gutters. I left school at 15, no qualifications. I was I had to join the family business because I couldn't work anywhere else because of mental health problems. And from the age of 15, I just kept trying my best to get into game development and games marketing. And it took me years to get where I am. And that's all part of the process. It's all connected to Hypercharge. The reason I got here and met the guys was because of my initiative and the belief in myself, or the constant trying to believe in myself and pushing forward that got me here. So you are right. Like, I understand people do think this game's successful. It's always been like that. And I believe Hypercharge will be one of them games where other indie developers, understandably, will look at and think, people will use this as case studies. Oh, yeah, what about Hypercharge? They did this and they did that. And then part of their team will go, Hypercharge? What are you talking about? They're like multimillionaires. We can't. It's not the same thing. It's like no. Let's just go back a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
That's the trajectory now. I think King is nail on the head though. Game Pass.
Yeah, once
it's
his
coming.
exposure is there, then you can have that conversation, because that's when you say to yourself, do we do free to play? No. With this level of success that we did have from this place, the question is now, do we leave it inside Game Pass? That's the question. It's not do it becomes free to play constantly for everybody else to play. No. Do we actually just leave it aside Game Pass, continue to get that bag that way? And how do we put DLC inside the game so that we can monetize exactly from that core? And this is where the toy branding and the T-shirts and the merch and all that other stuff grows from there. I'm the marketing director of Iron Lords Podcast, by the way. And then you start looking at toys and cartoons and stuff like that and statues.
Yeah.
You start looking at stuff like that because that branches off from there. But at the moment right now, the hotbed question is after it's released inside a Game Pass type subscription service. It might not even be Game Pass. It could be the PlayStation service. Don't shortchange yourself here. It could be anything of that nature that exposes you to a level of clientele that you're not exposed to yet. Right? I know Steam is on those millions of players on Steam, but we're talking about a cultivated walled garden that it's a reoccurring amount of people that are in this space, and they won't change your baby, like, because PC guys like to mod stuff and do things, but in this space, that it's pretty much safe to be pretty much protected and guarded. So I want to see what happens then.
You make a good point. Like, I mean, I don't know the data on this too much. I'm going through intuition and instincts, but like, I mentioned this again to Gaz in the last interview, but Steam, I call it a sleeping giant for indies. It is so powerful that the domino effect is not to be underestimated. However, specifically for our audience, in terms of Hypercharge, I think Steam is, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it doesn't resonate. It's the worst place to resonate with the type of audience we want. I truly believe, and I think this is why I said I'm going by instinct here and the stuff I've seen. Xbox players, and again, I'm not saying which community is better. No console
Xbox,
war BS.
we know.
Trust me, you're console agnostic right now.
So Xbox players have been the most vocal voice for wanting Hypercharge, and I mean massively. I've never had posts go consistently as viral on all platforms, social platforms, than Hypercharge focused content have never gone as viral on any social platform compared to, like, if I would mention PlayStation, Steam, Switch. Xbox.
You know why I think that is?
Because Xbox has no games.
No, and that's funny. That's funny as hell. But no to you, sir. But I think it's because the Xbox fan base has been cultivated on first-person shooters. And I think anything that falls in line, or third-person shooters, first-person shooters, anything that falls in line with some form of comfortability, they're definitely going to gravitate towards it, and they're definitely going to salivate for that. So, like, if you're looking at a different fan base, it's
like tailored towards it.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they groom to this multiplayer, let's get it, all their friends is over here type of feeling, opposed to like a single player environment or like a Nintendo-based kiddie environment. Now, I think honestly, Hypercharge works well over there because of the toy-based theme.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the network isn't as robust as you would want it to be for that. So it works in couch co-op and stuff like that over there. But in this space, in I think you will find it a very good space for your brand. And I just really want to see what happens once it hits that space and what it turns into from that space, because I think it's going to turn into a juggernaut. To be honest,
100%. I was going to say as well, like as you mentioned before, King, and I know you're a huge advocate of Game Pass. But speaking of Game Pass itself and indie developers, another one from the launch of the series consoles, which was Thomas Sala with the Falconeer, and we had a chance to speak to him after it launched, and kind of he said I can't tell you official numbers because I'm not allowed to. But it is, for him, it was as if an entire city just played his game one day. It was a case of the difference between a couple of hundred people playing it on Steam or an Xbox, etc., to having a couple of hundred people to having an entire city jump on and play the game in one day. He said that's the difference that Game Pass made.
It's not even just indies though. We had thingy from the tech director for Dirt 5 is working on Fable now. He doesn't talk to me now because I leaked that Fable has dev troubles. But he David Springate, he when he was on our show, he talked about the moment that Game Pass happened, just tetanus shot, boom, and then it didn't just like a spike there. It's it sustained the growth way beyond what they expected. So it's like they Game Pass is transformative, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you're not allowed to talk about whatever options there are on the table, if any. But it's a no-brainer, no, Joe. You get whatever undisclosed sum. It's different for every deal. You'll get that
So-
upfront, and on top of that, you'll get. It would be stupid. And what I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
if that deal comes, take it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's something. So,
Just take it.
so we've had lots of talks of Xbox about Hypercharge. Obviously, they're seeing the hype. They've told us a lot of people at Xbox are talking about Hypercharge.
Yeah.
You know, they keep we keep in touch with them quite often. So I can only talk about this not because of the, you know, it being confidential. There's nothing really too much to talk about in that respect. It's just more my understanding of it from a business point of view is limited. However, what I can say is Game Pass is a possibility. It was mentioned. It was more dependent on basically the last conversation was like, you know, we'll see. Would have to get you in touch with the Game Pass team. They would see it's a type of game they think would do well. I think after what's happened, you know, the answer's there. But in terms of, see, as a small team, every sale counts for us. Not in a greedy way, but in a survival way. It really does. So we would have to, again, my knowledge is limited, but we would have to weigh up whether could we make more money in relative terms of to our team size, like of longevity, selling it ourselves and pushing it ourselves with an additional push on Xbox versus getting a certain amount of money. So basically what I'm saying is, are we confident, could we sell more copies and make more money than what we would receive from what Xbox would give us to Game Pass? I might be wrong. I might be getting a few things wrong, but that's my understanding.
No, absolutely. That's what else was there, because ultimately you get a fat lump sum, and then what happens?
That's an assumption.
Yeah,
that's an assumption that it's a fat lump
You
sum.
always get a fat lump sum.
Or do you get back end? Right. See, it's and sometimes I look at it as in the music business. If I have an artist and he comes out to do a show, because I used to manage artists, so we go out to go do a show, you get an initial payment, right? And I would, because I saw your video that it was dope. I really liked it. You do your show, and then you get back end from what the door brought in, how many drinks was purchased for the night, or what stuff like that, and you get a separate check from that. So you have the choice. Do I get this upfront money? Now the conundrum could be for the Hypercharge, that do we release the game first and get the initial sales first, being that all sales count, right? And then still have the option to go in to Game Pass at a later date. Or, and see, that's where you ask yourself, do you jade the gamer against you? Or do you believe in your title enough to that you say, okay, well, we initially sacrifice, because that's what that would be, sacrificing the initial sales for the growth factor of it, and down the line put some DLC in it that can actually grow the title to a different space. Now, the only reason why I said that is because I talked about Outriders earlier, right? And Outriders was a new IP that released inside Game Pass. Now, they sacrificed their initial sales. They sold on other platforms, yes, of course, but they sacrificed their initial sales in the beginning for the upfront bag. Now, it came in a broken state. It actually stayed with a fan base. Now, the DLC comes out. That's not part of Game Pass, but the game is still available inside Game Pass. So all the players that did play it, that were curious, whatever fan base, let's say it's 10 million people, right? Let's say 10 million. 10 million people that sees it and says, wow, should I go? Now, let's say only 2% of that 10 million actually purchased the DLC. That's a substantial amount. Now,
Mm.
if word of mouth happens from that space, it's all about how you look at it as far as marketing. There's always going to be a yin and a yang, and it's always
Mm.
going to be a sacrifice. Early
Yeah.
bag, late bag. Is it going to be upfront money or back end money? And that's what I surmise that you guys are actually at the table with that conundrum.
No,
And it's
that's
a
it.
good
Yeah.
conundrum to have.
Mm.
Very
And,
good.
yeah, and it's not through a greed thing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
no,
more
no. Yeah,
yeah, what's best for the longevity
yes,
for the
of
team and
course.
the company, sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's the
but
opposite,
obviously,
really.
what ideally you don't even be mentioning the word survival. Ideally, you want to be mentioning the world like we've got past survival now. Where it's a case of right, okay, let's grow from here.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
survival
we
hopefully
need to get to
becomes
the
a thing of
Butler
the past.
level soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. We want to see Butler. We want to see Butler.
No, but that surely, if I was in whatever your team, I'd be like, yo, guys, if we do get a Game Pass deal, we also need to be able to monetize it further. And then
Mm-hmm.
the way we, as pundits, always enthusiasm. I mean, we're not there, so we always guess. So we may be woefully wrong here, but like the need to have downloadable content is must be really high now, because if you have to gear up to the fact that Microsoft may approach you with that silver plate. Here it is. We're going to get you on Game Pass, fat stacks right here. And then you may be thinking, and I know on XNC you said you don't do DLC yet, right? But it may be a chance, because I'm telling you now, if you did a Master Chief thing, paid DLC,
Yeah, right. That's
you'll
crazy.
be making, you won't be talking about survivability
Yeah.
on Xbox.
No,
You'll be
no.
talking about something else.
So just to make something clear is with Hypercharge, so there's microtransactions, and I know we could get into the semantics about the definition, but I
Right.
think in
Yeah.
most gamers' view, a microtransaction is something you buy inside the game,
Right.
and DLC is
Added
it's
to-
optional outside. So it's part of the game, but outside of the game.
of the core game. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that we do sell is DLC outside of the game. And when I mentioned Master Chief, something I will talk to Xbox at some point, I would love to do, be it early, the first so many people who sign up to Game Pass get this cool action figure, or
Wow.
pre-orders get this action figure. That's the idea I propose. However, with the Hypercharge, something we won't do, I can speak for the whole team, because we believe in it for Hypercharge, and I'll get more into detail about why, is we won't have microtransactions in the game, so skins that you purchase,
Yeah.
simply because, without going into it too deep, there are a lot of predatory monetization sort of things
Yeah.
on certain platforms. I won't name anything, it's an opinion. And trust issues and whatnot, with how easy it is to purchase this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we designed Hypercharge basically, and this is what I figured out more and more, and it's apparent, like we said, it's our target audience, but we designed Hypercharge for young and young at heart people, and like especially mums and dads,
Right.
and the whole family. So the special thing about our game is parents get to share their childhood nostalgia of action figures with their
Kids, yeah.
with their kids, and likewise their kids get to share their current experience of toys and action figures with their parents, and it creates what I call, I've said it for, a cross-generational nostalgia. It's like a magical bonding moment where past meets present. So mum and parents and their kids get to share this special thing. And Hypercharge isn't just for mum and dad, it's suitable for a wide audience because it offers so many features, first and third person, going back to why it resonates so well with Xbox. Co-op, PvP, online, offline, player bots, split screen, a story campaign that's coming soon, multiple difficulty modes, so the accessibility, that it contains zero gore. So there's truly something for everybody to enjoy. So what I'm getting at is, if that's... Sorry, 2 seconds. Livy? Sorry, I thought someone shouted. So, about to run downstairs now. So what I'm getting at is, if that's our target audience and it is becoming more prominent, it's parents.
Yeah.
In our point of view, and our belief for Hypercharge is it's almost not fighting back, but it's taking a stance against a lot of modern games and their practices of making sort of money. We're saying, actually, just buy the game. There's optional stuff you can buy if you want. It's harder to access. It's less chance, your kid might purchase this. Let unlock things like you did in the 90s. Unlock things through hard work. Work together with your son, daughter, your child. Unlock that skin. And that's something where that, I believe, sells the game in itself. Because as a parent, it's nice to know there's no microtransactions. It's nice to know that you can be involved in the unlocking experience. And it's also nice to reminisce if you grew up with certain things like that.
That's
so
crazy.
It does sell itself.
You
And that's
know what
something
it
for
sounds like?
Hypercharge we will stick with.
You know what it sounds
But
like? It sounds like one of my favorite games that I was able to participate with my son, Disney Infinity. And
What the hell?
yeah,
Disney
like
Infinity?
you forgot about these guys, right? I didn't, and I got every last one of them, and I brought my son every last one of them. You see, that's the world, right? I thought it was genius. I thought it was genius level because I used to collect these like toys when I was younger, right? And our children nowadays are more electronic based, more tech based, right?
No.
Yeah.
So really, they don't really go out and play with toys like that, unless you train them from little to play with this, or go out into the yard and do this. They're more comfortable. My son does low level programming right now. He's 11 years old, right?
Jeez.
It's absolutely nuts because I went inside the room and he made a basketball game, but they gave him the parameters for school and this was his project. I didn't have that when I was growing up. I had wood shop, right? And so I had metal shop and wood shop, right? But I say this to say that the fact that you are wanting to bridge the gap between old and young, between father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter, and mother and son. That gap is beautiful, and also ensuring the safety of the child as far as feeling the need to click microtransactions and putting it in a place where you have to teach them to earn stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. We knew back then what
That's
it was
the
like
point.
to earn something, and it is a Hypercharge. And
Yes.
and I have had emails like this. Is a teachable moment. I had an email years ago, right, from I think I shared it on my Twitter. It got no engagement because we had hardly any followers. But it was a brother who was playing with his younger brother, who had, I think he was quite autistic, and he told us all this. It was a really heartwarming message, and he said he didn't really get on with his brother. They didn't really play games. They couldn't connect, and it was a really long message where he was thanking us that he said he was able to play Hypercharge with him, and because of the way the game was, like the unlocks and working towards things which he wasn't used to, it bonded them, and he got really close with him. And he said, "Thank you for giving me this last memory before I move away." And it was such a nice message. And I've had similar ones like that. And again, that's Anyway, carry on, Croc. Sorry, I just had to.
No.
That's
Carry on,
exactly the
Crocs.
message. That's the whole message. That's the branding. That's the principle. That's the core principle within it. So when anybody does ask you a question on, oh, why isn't this in there, or why didn't you go do this, or why didn't you chase this bag, it's because you can go right back to an email that you got about a brother
You
that
should
bonded
repost
with
that, by the way.
his other brother before he left. So it's fantastic to actually hear that stuff, and we understand that your principles is rooted in some type of fact and in not an ideal, because an ideal can be changed. Facts can't be changed, but ideals can change overnight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That no game does that. That's
No,
your
exactly.
teachable moment.
And the thing is, like with Hypercharge, once we wrap it up, hopefully we'll get everything finished next year and get everything we want in. To the point where we say, look, because we've got to think about our sanity as well. We've been working on this since 2015.
Yeah.
Once we wrap it
100%.
up, I do believe Hypercharge will be a game that will stand the test of time because of its accessibility, because of just how. So action figures, in my opinion, will never go out of trend. I do agree, children and people less play with the physical version, but the actual essence of action figures and toys will always be a thing.
Yeah,
It'll always be in people's
collection of it.
lives. Yeah. So
I want
Hypercharge in the
action figures,
no,
whatever. Statues. King
no,
Croc.
Yeah, well,
So,
I'm trying to bring that back. I've been on that whole movement of bring back Toys R Us, and you
We're
know,
getting it
it
eventually.
was a
We're
it
actually
was a
getting it.
steep decline from our age that
Yeah.
precipitated the closing of Toys R Us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we love going to the store. As
Yeah.
kids, your mother said you were going to Toys R Us. I think that made your whole week or month.
Yeah, it was
And
like
you
Christmas.
actually got in there, and it was like it was like a wonderland. It was like, oh my God, this is Disney World. And you actually made it to the big, oh, so beautiful. Yeah, my dog is upstairs. She's not that lovable. My dog is crazy. But it's bringing that feeling back, bringing back that wonderment. And once you know resonate with the parents, and you're like, if a parent can say, because I always look at my emails that come up every week with my son, and what's his activity, what's he's been playing on Microsoft. If I can say, oh, he's playing this game, and I don't have to worry about him buying this or buying that, because the first thing that happens when he purchases something, I run straight to his mom's. How much did you give him this week? And okay, he spent all of it on V-Bucks. Okay, I see. All right, so I understand that you want to prohibit easy transactions that might
Oh, look at that.
put
little
a
doggy.
father in panic like myself.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
When I have
exactly.
kids, I'm gonna have a strict regime with my kids about what video games they play. Come on, man. I'll try to be. I haven't had kids yet, but I'll try to be a strict regime. One, you have to like Xbox. No, no. Strict regime. I won't give them screen time off or whatever, but I'll run them through the old games, like the Sega Mega Drive is my first console. It's going to be my kids' first console. They're going to play through all those games. But then Hypercharge is an excellent transition into the more modern kind of.
That's what it will
gaming.
be, though, guys. This is what I
Yeah.
believe. Like, it will stand the test of time. Hypercharge
Yeah.
will be the type of game in 10, 15, 20 years where, because it's essentially, in a way, like a time capsule Hypercharge, people will always go back and reference, this is the go-to action figure game. If you want to relive your childhood, if you want to experience my gaming childhood, son, daughter, let's go visit this game. That's what I kind of meant. And something I just want to point out before I forget, about, like, we're talking about, the big bucks and the money and things like that. Like, how can I word it?
You want a Lambo?
No, like, so because we've all come from working sort of what you call working man backgrounds.
Yeah.
We've all had these jobs, painter and decorating, working at
I work for
stacking
Super
shelves.
Drug. There's a lot worse than that.
Yeah, things like that. We have a very good comparison and reflection. Speaking from myself, I have a good view on life where I know what it's like to have little, and I know what it's like to also have a lot in some in relative terms, and I know what it's like to work for things. Now, what I can say is that all of us like this are on the team. I know money can change people. However, none of us or myself, I can hand on my heart say, like, I ain't bothered about fast cars. I'm not bothered about massive houses. Truthfully, I'm not. What I'm bothered about is giving a better life for my family.
Yeah.
Money is great, but I don't believe money creates happiness. I think they're very two misconstrued things.
Yeah.
It's very two different things. It relieves stress, yes. But I can tell you now, from being a painter and decorator to doing what I'm doing now and the recent success, and over the last few years, and I'm not just saying it's because of COVID, I was happier in a lot of ways back then with less money than I am now. The money has not made me any happier.
Right.
It's relieved stress, but it also brings stress with it.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is, like, the reason we won't add this monetization and do things like that is because we have a good perspective on life in general, and doing what I'm doing now, guys, full time, being able to leave painting and decorating is being rich to me. I can go to a cafe and buy my dad a coffee or a bacon sandwich and breakfast. I can buy my mum an iPad now and then. I can help my brother out with a bit of money. Yes, it's not millions, but in relative terms to what we earn and what they earn, it is a lot. So this is why we will never be in the position where we think, because when it's enough money, I tell you what, if I make millions, I'll give you a couple of million. I don't want that much money. Nobody should have that much money.
thank
you.
Yep.
I'm just giving you my mobile number.
Gazzy just DM'd me. Yeah, but you get where I'm
Hit
coming
my
from.
Cash App.
Yeah, I'm just making my Cash App now.
I was going to say I do like the
I'm
I do like
getting all
the
these messages. No, but seriously, you get where I mean. Like, this is why when people say take the money, it's like when is enough money? If I get 100,000, if I get 10,000,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like, wow, I can do that. The fact that I'm healthy and I can do what I love, that's the true meaning of being rich, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
all same that share core value, and I believe we'll always be like that. Because, like I said, in relative terms, you could say we're rich now compared to what I was earning when I was a decorator.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
like,
And not all money is good money.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'd be
Yeah.
very careful, And hey, and do me a favor, when 10 Cent comes a knocking, and they're gonna come in.
They already have. They already have.
For real.
Of course.
For real.
Oh, shit. They want to get in there quick
Time
when
out,
the
time out. Wait a
children
second.
are.
Time out, time
10
out.
cents.
This.
Hey,
All right.
diabolical.
So, all right. The only
10
person
cents.
I spoke to other than yourself is David Jaffe, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they came with a $10 million bag to him.
And he rejected it.
Oh yeah. What was the thought process? Because I'm pretty sure
he
they come
took
with
a moral stand.
Well,
Yeah.
no,
He didn't say he
no,
didn't need the money.
I'm not talking about David Jaffe. David Jaffe has loads of money. I'm talking about Joe here, right? I'm talking about Joe and the team. Because I'm pretty sure, and you don't have to give us specifics. I don't care about that stuff. They come with an offer sheet, and you look at the squad, because it probably came at a time where you were like, I want to get the coffee, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, but I'm not at that point, and the sheet comes through. It just slides under your door, and you don't know who. The doorbell didn't ring. What the hell is this? And you show it to the team. What was the thought process? And I'm pretty sure the denial came up like, "Nah, we're not going to work with that." But the initial thought process was like, "What the hell? What was the thought process?"
So when 10 Cent got in touch, you're asking?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, because so many people have been in touch, it was kind of like, it's just another one.
Okay.
But
It's not just another one.
that's what it felt like. But
Right.
I mean, 10 Cent, I mean, it was an interesting talk we had with them. Just to point out, we did Hypercharge, again, nobody knows, did win an award in 2020 from 10 Cent, Best Multiplayer. Putting it out there.
Wow. They're trying to grease the
They tried
oil.
to grease the pole.
Let's take their first rodeo.
So it was interesting. I mean, it was kind of funny because I don't know how much you know about 10 Cent, but like
I know a lot.
they kind of said, certain things are a bit difficult for them outside of China because the Chinese government doesn't trust them as much anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the Chinese government typed that email, but yeah. Very clever.
But it's very motivating when these type of prominent companies, whatever organizations publishers get in touch. But Tencent are trying to basically partner with games they think would do well, but they're not aggressively going into it as well. Which I thought they might have done. So they're not trying to just say, hey, we've got a load of money, let us help you. They actually want to create a meaningful sort of partnership, which was nice to know.
Like,
They're
give you some
trying
money
to-
and we'll talk about it later. Like,
And it's metaverse. They're going in early to influence the little ones. That's the thing. The Hypercharge has a power there. The Hypercharge, like you talked about, it has a lot of power to really cross the divide between generations. And if Hypercharge, let's be honest, Tencent is the corporate arm of CCP there, so they have a very pragmatic approach. China owns everything. China, 90% of my clients are Chinese now, so please don't hate me. But their business, they're so like, part of me thinks they should take it because it's so incredible. They don't don't switch off. But yeah, that thought process. Like I don't want to be a dick, which is hard for me because I'm a dick. No, but I will say you will have come across challenges in the development of things.
Yeah.
Things settle down, and it's not like you have a stand now where you say, okay, I don't like this monetization and microtransactions because of the reasons you mentioned. Because you don't want to compromise whatever that game's vision is. But it won't be like that. It will be a very trickling of just Master Chief. All right, you know what, Master Chief, okay, but then after this, we'll call it stand, and then it will trickle in, and it's just only human, and it will happen. The only reason I'm saying this to you, Joe, is I don't want you to speak in absolutes. Someone clips this in the future. It's like that piece that he lied to us, and now look at him with his butler in the background. And
they're gonna clip this anyway.
Yeah, I'll say it right now. If something happened like that, I'm a very humble person. I'd put my hands up and say, you know what? Those big figures changed me. This is why I'm in a fur coat. Why I got a big hat on. It changed me. I'll say I'm sorry, guys.
Solid gold crocs.
No, but like I think so. In terms of development and coming across things, you also have to understand as a team, we've literally been through hell.
Yeah,
we've seen it. We've seen it all. I mean, we've been on the brink of becoming non-existent multiple times. Literally, we've been through some horrendous moments, honestly, in terms of game development and our lives together as friends and developers. So regarding what you're saying, like, again, one thing I'm confident, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, I don't think we'll do microtransactions as to what you see now in terms of monetization. I think I would be comfortable doing meaningful DLC. For example,
if EA said that would become a meme. Meaningful DLC.
No, but what I mean is where it
careful.
has more of a purpose in terms of like if we would do DLC, it was connected to the story campaign.
Yeah.
It's not just a skin you buy.
Yeah.
For example,
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's and I gathered that from him very early on. He wants it to have an actual impact. That's what he said. Outside of the game, certain things, and that doesn't affect the whole.
But
so
that's subjective, though. Because a skin could make. Look, let's be honest. Hypercharge, big call to act.
But I'm not going to sacrifice my no. See, and I would fight as the marketing dude. I would fight for the hell with GI Joe. I would fight for that because I want let's Hypercharge Tim. Hypercharge Tim needs to be on the storm on the show right next to Storm Shadow, right? This is what I'm talking about, and that will be the core vision, and I wouldn't stop, and I will be relentless in that pursuit. And until that moment, Hypercharge Tim is on that same pedestal with Storm Shadow. When he can look Storm Shadow in his eyes, that's when we can come together, because that's when we made it, and that's when Hasbro looks at us as equals, opposed to you pushing our stuff. You understand? There's a difference between G.I. Joe is rich already. G.I. Joe is all over the world. G.I. Joe is synonymous with toys. Hypercharge needs to be synonymous with toys. Hypercharge needs to be synonymous with childhood. So what he's talking about right now, he wants Hypercharge to be this generation's G.I. Joe.
Yeah. But then how are you going to do that from works that are derivative of the G.I. Joes? Then you've got
no, because that kid that doesn't know G.I. Joe, that only knows Hypercharge, doesn't identify with G.I. Joe. Yeah. And how many children right now in our own households that you can bring them a Voltron toy and they'll look at that like, what is that, Daddy? And
you're like, what is probably say? The first thing they probably say is that out of Fortnite?
Exactly. You see?
Yeah.
So.
That means your design principles have to be. I know you cater for it right now, but be honest, Joe. How deep does that go? Like what King is saying there is to have your own shelf, but do you go delve into that detail with the characters you have now?
So we've had prominent film studios reach out, and we're still in talks with them about making a Hypercharge TV show. We've had companies. Well, we've had basically Hasbro reach out to us. We've had other. We've had other plush, what do you call it? Plush, flush, I don't bloody know. Toys,
Yeah.
brands
Plush.
reach out to us. We've had other big companies who make toys, action figures and stuff reach out to us. So, like, how deep does it go? Just let me put it sort of this way when you talk about, skins and so let me backtrack. So, going back to what Croc was saying, like, with
I love that. That's a
I
new
know, yeah.
See, listen, he doesn't know me as King David, right?
King Croc.
King Croc.
But he
And-
will
and this-
he will now know you as King Croc.
Do you
forever.
see? Do you see how a marketing genius
Marketing.
works?
This
is-
because that was intended.
This is intended. This is breadcrumbs. He's going to tell you exactly what's happening behind the scenes, but he just met me today. He doesn't know me as King David. He knows me as King Crocs. So he will refer to me as that. Every child born today that doesn't know G.I. Joe, that knows Hypercharge, will know Hypercharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if we have knockoff action figures and they know it's G.I. Joe, but it's not G.I. Joe per se, it still will complement the Hypercharge brand, the original Hypercharge action figures. It's like a self-service. It markets itself as well. But going
And
back,
to be honest, in terms of relevance, your new kid, that King David's kid, your King Croc, sorry, King Croc's King Croc's analogy is right spot on, because the new gen would have experienced your game. They would have G.I. Joe. It means nothing to them.
Yeah.
So it's your game. It's come full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Where
And
you've used that, and then you shat on the original works. That's what's happening.
exactly. And the thing is, like, talking about, when you mentioned things might change, the money, get these skins in, but it's like, if you were to give me $25 million now, included with the skins, or give me $8 million now, but I stuck to my morals and belief of how I think the game's vision would stand the test of time and help the brand, I would
take the 8.
Swear on my dad's life, I would take the 8 million, because again, we all have this background. 8 million, fuck me, man. I can buy everybody a house. I ain't gonna buy a mansion.
8 houses in London.
Yeah, but the thing is, I will not buy a mansion with 8 bedrooms. You can only use a toilet once at a time. You can only sleep in one bed. Like, no, I'll buy just a normal, nice sized house, no mortgage. Great, I'll help other people.
That's
However,
right.
we are not Hypercharged. This is the thing in terms of money.
All 5 of you would do the same.
Yeah. I think we would. Yeah, I think we're like a family business. We're very close, and this is why we work so well and why the game is so good. We have our
really
core
important.
beliefs are very similar, and also, like, in terms of money, Hypercharge doesn't end here for us. Like, boys, we already have our next project, our original game that we always wanted to do, which I won't say what it is start next year. Because of what's happened with Hypercharge, it has propelled us into a position where we can work on that next game. And I'm telling you now,
I got
the
a
next
question.
game will be phenomenal. It will make lots of money. So in terms of money, we don't need these skins in our position. We don't need to do all these skins and sell out. We will make enough money to make a living, which is amazing and out of this world. We're our own bosses. That's being rich. I know I keep repeating it, but it's so important.
I got a question in that,
No,
right?
I completely understand.
That's brilliant, and I totally get it, because I was just talking about something about a person buying a 60,000 square acre mansion, and he said he was scared to go down the hallway, so he was like, "The hell with this place," and he put it up on the market. And he realized that he didn't have to go that big. He just wanted to go into his comfortable space. My question to you, because I'm pretty sure you show your wares to people that come in and prospective sellers of your game, right? Because you'll put your game inside their marketplace at whatever, if it's in the service area, if it's in their market store place, whatever. Do they ever inquire about purchasing your team as a whole, as the developers? Because your next project and being at a passion project, I mean, because this would be my sale to you, right? I'm so keen on Hypercharge. I'm like, Hypercharge is so dope. Um, what else do you have working? And that would be my angle in selling, selling you on being purchased. Okay, we fully fund your dream project. If we, and with no involvement at all, we allow you to do that with really next to no oversight, whatever. Just meet minor checkpoints and goals and stuff like that. Would y'all be open to a partnership, because that's what they would call it, a partnership in that manner, or would you want to stay free, mortgage free, like
Mortgage
you
free.
stated? Because mortgage free is a hell of a thing. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, oh,
part
yeah.
that you don't have to worry about that brick over your head. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So, yeah, I think so to answer your question specifically, like we've had some big publishers, one recently,
Yeah.
say basically they do want to take us on board. However, that comes with certain, what's the word, caveats.
Caveats.
For example, you then do have a shadow there looking
Yep.
over. You have
Mortgage.
more time constraints. Yeah, exactly. You have more stress. Yes, you might have a big sack of money up front. Yes, you might have it. Maybe it's less financially risky because of that sack of money. If it fails, they've taken the risk, so to speak. But then there's other things. If it fails, yes, financially you're going to be probably okay. But then your name is tied to the product still. Are you going to be less motivated because of the money? So for us, it's something we will, and we've had quite a few publishers get in touch, in the past as well, but more so now. It's something we'll listen to it because it's good experience, to be in these meetings. But it's something we won't go down because we have the dream team right now with 5 best friends, all our own boss. For example, I can just wake up in the morning, right? Because it's based on trust.
Mhm.
Very unique situation. I can just go to a cafe, have a coffee in an hour, get up pretty much when I want. Nobody's saying, Joe, you've not done this at this time. Where are you? You've not done this. I can literally have a day off and not really say anything. I can give a week's notice to say, listen, I need a break. I'm going to the Lake Districts in England, to the holiday cottage. They'd be like, listen, mate, have it. We've got your back. Let us know if you need anything. That is just such a beautiful and wonderful thing. That's why I keep saying, I feel, and I cringe when I say this, and I don't mean it in a cocky way. I've said it to my dad and my family. Put the money aside. I feel like I am in retirement, and I have been because I started my own business as a marketing thing because of tax reasons, but I'm still part of it. But in terms of working on the game, I feel like I've been retired for 2 years. Putting aside all the other parts of the stress and mental health stuff, in terms of work and the shadow what I said being over me, I feel like I feel like I've made it in terms of retirement. People say, oh, you eventually can retire if the game does really well. I'm like, I already
already.
You already have. Mate, I
that's
completely
amazing.
understand where you're coming from, because that's my dream that I'm working on, like not doing my day job. And the reason why I was grilling you about your vision is because me and my buddy Asa had this conversation. We said if someone offered me 5 million now, I wouldn't take it, because if I don't, without Game On Daily, what's my vision? What's my passion? What am I going to do for the rest of my life?
Oh, you
All the
mean
stuff that I do.
give you 5 million for Game On Daily?
I would not take it.
I wouldn't sell.
I would not sell.
Yeah, Iron Lord
I would
wouldn't
not sell. I wouldn't sell. Like,
5 million, no.
bro, that's the first time I'm telling anyone. Me and Asa, we're there in the struggle right now. We spent 100 grand on Game On Daily, the platform, and we're not where we are to monetize at all. 100 G's. You can check it on Company's House.
Yeah.
And we're at that critical sink or swim moment. We're putting our money from our paycheck into that. And not once have we broken even. Not once. But I will not take the 5 million if I can't do what I'm doing. That's the whole point, is the retirement plan. So we do
You'll
break
get there,
even.
Gaz. Your website's amazing, so I can see the full potential in it. You'll get there in the end, mate.
Quick
Yeah, we've got to grind.
just to interrupt, we've got a couple of super chats.
We do, yeah. I'm going to catch up on them
Yeah.
quickly. We stuffed Sean as well, 4-month membership. He said, "Happy birthday, Midweek Mix-Up crew. Love to see so many awesome creators here. Hypercharge, Iron Lords, and Game on Daily greatness." Sourblow, speaking of crossovers, actually, and DLC, Sourblow with a $5 super chat. He said, "Wouldn't it be cool to see a crossover with Hypercharge and Grounded? Instead of zombie mode, you were shooting bugs instead."
That's crazy.
It's a good idea.
A good idea.
It starts like that.
Hey,
Grounded have been in touch as well.
Grounded's
Grounded have
Grounded's
been in
getting
touch
its
as
own
well.
cartoon, so you know.
Next one
Good
as well.
work.
We go down. We have Mr. Joanna Dark with the $10 super chat. He says, "I want to say a happy 2-year anniversary to Midweek Mix-Up team, and hello the two fantastic guests, King and Gaz and King David. Also, Joe, I love Hypercharge. Thanks for the awesome game." And then Fantoso with £2 super chat. He says, "Full respect to Joe and his game's philosophy." So thank you to everybody for that and the awesome comments. Joe, I wanted
do
to
have a
touch on
question
something.
for you, Joe.
Oh, go on, Jim.
What was the team's biggest inspiration for Hypercharge? Whether it be Toy Story, Small Soldiers.
It was CS 1.6 Rat Maps, Small Soldiers, Toy Story, and Sarge's Heroes. But if you want to put it down to one, I'd say it was Small Soldiers, the movie.
And we thought
love
that when
that
we
movie.
seen it, without, this is
Yeah.
just reminds us of like playing Small Soldiers. That film was just phenomenal. And it's still.
I remember when we were all in Scotland discussing what game to do, and we had an idea of action figures, kind of, but we put the film just by coincidence, Small Soldiers on,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Yeah, dudes, this is what we need to do."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that you've got like Beyblades in there as well, because I grew up with Beyblades. and I was
Spinners.
spinners.
Some lawyers' ears.
Yeah, like
picked up.
I love that you've got those spinners in there.
Yeah.
I grew up with Beyblade. I love the
Yeah, yeah.
anime. I had hundreds of Beyblade figures, and
Same.
I just
And
remember
that's the thing.
taking Beyblades to school and battling my friends
Yeah, yeah,
with
in
Beyblades. and-
courtyards and stuff.
Mm.
But I bet you didn't go in there, and this comes back to mine and Croc's point. I bet you didn't go in there and think, "Oh, this is just a rubbish knockoff version of Beyblades." You went in there and thought, "This is actually that toy." Subconsciously, how
Yeah.
awesome! This reminds me of it.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
love those
100%. I
toys
saw
growing up.
Goku, I'm
and
like, "Oh,
it
shit, it's
reminds
Goku
me
in
of
there."
it. Like
Yeah.
everything about the game reminds me of being a kid, sat in my bedroom playing toys with my dad or my mum, and I love it. It's amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, it's one thing I wanted
and it's
to
not
kind of.
Goku, it's Noku.
No good.
I was going to say one thing I wanted to kind of double back on as well from what you said earlier was with the kind of messages you receive and the different types of kind of support you get. And I think both King with the Iron Lords and Gaz from Game On Daily, they'll receive the same kind of messages we do when we're inboxes as well. And it's the kind of different kind of support that you get. The ones that kind of catch out of left field, and it's the ones with people that have been struggling with something, whether it be mental health or life issues or health issues or anything like that. And your thing in particular, what you've created, is the reason that they've kind of, should we say, recovered or feel better or have grown or have feel better in themselves or got more confidence or feel happier or has got them through that dark spot. And I think that really resonates with a lot of the messages kind of we receive as well in the back end. It's not just thanks for this great content. It's like this content has helped us through these hard times, and we thank you for that. Those are the ones that really stand out to us, and those are the ones that kind of keep pushing us forward. And from what I've gathered from the comments that you've read out, even before the show, kind of the emails you get, and it's the standout ones, I think, to yourself, and the ones that always resonate, correct us if I'm wrong, aren't just the guy saying, "I can't wait to see this on Xbox." The primary ones will always be the ones that stand out from these people that say, "Thank you for the time I've had with my son playing this game," or "I've really been struggling with this and it's really helped us." And is that the kind of ones that kind of stand out most to you?
Yeah, no, definitely they are. They're just because it hits more of an emotional sort of nerve, if you will, and it resonates with you when it's like, yeah, people when it's coming from a place of your younger self, because again, that's all Hypercharge is about. It's
Yeah.
just it's a labor of love, brimming with nostalgia. And like you've all said, I think that's what people see the potential in this game is that it's not just a game; it's an experience, and a genuine experience, an authentic experience. Um, I've said it before. Hypercharge, I will admit, is a bit like Marmite. Like you either hate it or you love it. So the people who don't like it, they really won't like it. They don't give it a chance. They don't get into it. That's fine. It's their opinion. But the people who like it, and you can see it by the majority of our reviews, they absolutely love it
Yeah.
because it's resonated with them. We've reached the right audience, and you can get. I know it sounds weird. You can get games that are well received, but then you can get games that people absolutely adore, but in an emotional way. And like I said, Hypercharge does evoke emotions. It really, really does. And this is why I think when we do go on Xbox, like wow, I'm so excited to see. I'm so excited to get it into the hands of parents and kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
That's
can I ask? Do you have an idea of when the beta is going live? And are you able to tell us?
So I did announce a date, I think last week. We won't
I
be.
must have missed that.
I think what it'll be Q1 2023, so maybe March, Aprilish. We will try and get it out earlier, so I might make another announcement saying it's going to be early. What we want to do is first impressions count. We have a lot planned for Hypercharge. So the way we work is we like to launch updates. We like to take on feedback, then launch updates on Steam, simply because the backend on Steam is amazing. We've got a whole system and like a build server type technical thing set up where we can ship updates, test them, get them onto Steam, and go live. It's pretty much in real time, very quickly. As opposed to Nintendo Switch, there's a whole review process. It's very, very mundane and long. So we don't. So Steam lets us try out these updates, see how they're received. So the point I'm making is, we want to get out all these major updates before we launch an Xbox. For example, we have a story campaign, which will be added to the main co-op mode. We're going to vastly improve PvP. We're going to overhaul a lot of the UI again, the user interface, main menu. We will improve a lot of the core experience of the Wave cooperative-based mode. So you'll never get perfection, but once we get this stuff in that we always wanted to, and now we have more funding to spend more time and resources on it, we want to get all this in and give Xbox players the best version of Hypercharge on release, as opposed to rushing it for the fact check, and then after all that exposure and traction, launching a few major updates months after. Because I know from a marketing perspective, and I'm tired of doing it. I'm tired, guys, trying to get your game noticed after. I know we have more of a name for ourselves, but it's still first impressions always count, no matter your size.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The
And
biggest
is
question I
this
have-
also coming to PlayStation at the same time, or is this? Or is
No,
it
so people ask that.
We've got a few people in the chat who've been asking about the PlayStation
Yeah.
version as well.
So so there's a two-parter to that. So a lot, and it's not towards the people who've commented. People say, why don't you we get some toxic people sometimes who say it quite nastily. Oh, you effing idiots! Why didn't you just release the game on all platforms at the same time? And I'm like, well, it doesn't work like that. Do you have a couple of million so we could have done that? Like, where were you?
Right.
So the reason for it is because development-wise and team-wise, it's not sustainable, it's not viable, because we have to test on these platforms. We cannot or couldn't then afford a QA team, quality assurance team company. It's tens of thousands to get it done properly. We couldn't do that. So it meant we would go and Switch, do all the testing the best we could, then Steam, have a very small testing player base because we don't have the infrastructure for this testing or the experience. So a lot of the stuff is manually done by us. So, and then we have a marketing perspective. I'm the marketing department, as you know. So my argument and view on it is this, and I believe it would work for bigger games as well, is that if your game has cross-platform support and it's very online focused, fair enough. I can understand to a degree launching on all platforms at the same day. You want to create hype and you want people
Yeah.
to think, oh, there's all these players. This game isn't dead. So, but then if your game isn't cross-platform support like ours, although we are hoping to get that working, I'll talk about it later. And it's more focused offline and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you're a smaller studio, and so imagine if we launched on all these platforms at the same time, the marketing I would have to do, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, pay someone to do it. It's like, well, get your wallet out then. But so then from more of a strategic marketing point of view, when we launch an Xbox after all this hype, and we get the numbers, and I'm confident we'll get some good numbers.
Yeah.
We're going to go to PlayStation and be like, we
These are
know
the
you,
metrics.
you spoke
Yeah.
to us in the past, guys, but things have changed.
The brick is
Things
going
have
up.
changed.
Yeah.
The price of the brick is
Exactly.
going up. Yesterday's
So-
price is not today's price.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the stance and my mentality on it. But to put it simply, we are launching PlayStation later in 2022.
Yeah. Well,
To put
okay.
it- PS4 and PS5.
I have
At
a
the price.
question.
But,
How did COVID affect the team and
good question.
the updates and stuff like that? Because you said you had 8 major updates, right? And this has been in the last 4 to 5 years. And my question to it is, how did COVID affect those processes? And being that you said Steam has a easy, real-time type of upload, I'm pretty sure that Nintendo was probably the most impacted in this whole area. But I just wanted to know, how did COVID affect the team as far as development and stuff goes?
In a weird way, it was actually so in terms of development as developers, obviously it was a hard,
Right.
scary time for everybody. But particularly focusing on development,
Just work. Yeah.
it was actually in a way kind of more efficient because we weren't having to go out and do a lot of things. We could buy things more easily online, so you didn't have to. You save time, and as well because it was scary. We kind of had our heads sort of a bit in the clouds, focusing on the game a lot more. So for us, development, it helped boost things a bit. And luckily, nobody got COVID for quite a long while to mess plans up. Because obviously, with us being such a small team, if one person gets ill, we're all very significant to the development, so it takes a hit.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, so we're fortunate.
And correct us if I'm wrong as
Cool.
well, Joe, but it also meant specifically for yourself at the time when kind of COVID first hit, you were still doing your day job. So in essence, you were essentially, it was just making you focus solely on the game as opposed to the day job and the game.
So it's funny that because when we launched on Switch in 2020, I was still decorating, and I would just put every minute, second into Hypercharge, into marketing. I did even some high level public relation courses and things like that. I was really trying to develop myself. And I've forgotten your question now.
I'm saying that obviously you were doing your job, the day job, as well as that until COVID hit. Yeah.
So when that hit, it's because I tell stories and I like to go into massive detail. It's like I get it from my dad. I forget what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then I don't answer the actual question. So I apologize. No,
It's
so
all right.
when it hit, I was doing my day job, and because obviously nobody could go outside, and the money that's where I was going. And the money from Switch was decent. It was enough for me to survive. Fast forward to April when we released. So I always knew I would eventually leave the family business. It was building. I was trying to build up towards that, not because I hated it or anything like that. I love painting and decorating. I love the family business. It's more this is my dream job. But it was building towards that. So in a way, COVID was a blessing in disguise for me in the sense that, like you said, I focused more on the game because I couldn't go do the decorating. And then when we launched on Steam and we had that brief spell of high sales, it meant And because I was getting very busier focusing on it, because the more time I could put into it, the more we would sell. So it meant the more busy I'd be. I was like, look, guys, look, Dad, the game sold quite well. I'm going to be financially okay for quite a few months ahead to build this business. I think now with us not working for the foreseeable future, this will be the best time to leave, because the company was getting assistance from the government at the time, and it meant, I didn't have to be paid. I didn't get paid the furlough thing to help the business because I was getting paid from the game.
Yeah.
And then, so it did definitely helped. The only hard thing for me was mentally leaving the family business, because it was a bit like grieving process for me in a way, because I'd gone from 15 being around my brothers and my dad, who I'm very close with, to suddenly being in a world, being my own boss. It was very new for me, very hard, very, very, very lonely as well. And borderline, I think, depression I was in. That's what I was talking about. I had this money, I was my boss, but it came with certain things as well that I had to adapt to.
Yeah.
So COVID had its blessings and its curses in regards to the development and me as a developer.
That makes complete sense.
You always find yourself exactly where you need yourself to be at the time it has to be there. And you look up, because I was explaining, you said something early on. You said, you had X amount of money before, you've always had money, but, as far as money goes, and I was explaining to my wife, and I was just driving, it was just a random thought. And I was thinking about when I had absolutely nothing. And I was like, the day before, my bank account had an amount that made me just, take off the shades and go, wow. I remember my life right before that happened. And then when it happened and COVID came, and it took a huge dip, pow, right? But it wasn't a phase. It didn't phase me, because I always revert back to the day before that happened and the space I was in before. And I wasn't in a panic state then, so I wouldn't be in a panic state now. So when you talk about the money and you talk about it won't change you because you've had money here and you didn't have money here, and you always stay core to the values, I'm like, wow, that is so central to the whole idea of the concept of what we're talking about in the podcast today, is because it's something that I was reflecting on earlier today. So I know if it centralizes on this concept, it's only because it just resonated with me so heavy today that we're actually even talking about it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked about COVID, because COVID affected me in a manner that made me reflect and dig in harder on Iron Lords, right? So the whole thought process in what we are trying to achieve and what we're trying to become, it just made us focus in laser like into where we're trying to get to. So to actually see somebody have those same hurdles and stuff like that, and you have to do your day job, and you have to do your stuff, but it also pushes you into that space of where you're being. It's amazing to see. And because we're championing Butler, like, I wish you guys would see a Butler come and bring me something at some point in time, that we would have that conversation. And I would wish, Gaz is at the point of retirement where they, he's the $25 million dude and we're at the club looking over at Phil like, those type of things. We're going to get to those spaces because, like we said earlier, before we even started the podcast, everyone in here is an indie.
Yeah. We're all on the same journey, man.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
And I think
I'll
it's
say one thing: I will never get a butler as well.
I want one. And this may not be popular to people. I want a little person that looks just like me. I swear to God. I swear, I've always, because I've seen the movie Twins, and I've always loved the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, and I'm pretty sure because I had my friend, and he wasn't bald headed, and I was like, why don't you shave your hair, please? He's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm like, damn, it would be so.
You know
dope
what
if
it's
he dressed the
made
same.
me though, like talk about COVID, and like you said, we're all indies, and like it's made me, especially what's happened recently, really appreciate life even more in general.
Yes.
Because I had the perfect, in relative terms, like I said, the perspective of looking back at what I had and what I didn't have back when I was a bit younger. And now at the point when I look at it, I appreciate it and realize that the most important things, and it getting a bit deep here, but the most important things, and the most important things in life are moments in time. They're the things we truly own. Money can be re-earned. You can always make money again. Once time has passed, you can't get that back. And it's made me realize how important time is. I do a lot of things differently now. I'll tell my mum and dad I love them more. I hug my dad more. Things that I've always suppressed. I'll wake up and I'll be thankful that I've actually woken up.
Yeah.
People say they don't believe in miracles, but we're all walking miracles because we're alive. I know it sounds, I'm not a religious person. I'm agnostic. I'm spiritualistic. I don't know what's going to happen when we die. But what I do know is either you won't know what's happened or something will happen. So give it your best shot.
Yeah.
And as my dad says, things always find a way. Honestly,
Make the most of everything in life.
Yeah. We went as decorators through a recession at my dad's company. He was having sleeping tablets. He was horrendous. He hid it from us. We had no work. Things always sort themselves out, I believe. And it's just about being proactive. And my dad always says, life is about mindset. And I've learned that working on big houses.
I'm a firm believer in that saying, it's always darkest before dawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So with you guys, what you're doing is amazing. And I can really relate to you. I feel like I'm just one of you a lot. We're all, I feel part of the gang, so to speak. And like, with you guys, with what you're doing, it takes all of you, but it takes a significant amount of courage to put money into something and to keep going at it. It really does. And whatever happens, you don't lose if you learn from it and you get something from it. Be it good times, be it knowledge, it's all perspective and mindset.
Oh, Joe, I was going to say, Joe,
win or lose, you can go, at least I tried.
At least I tried. Exactly.
At least I tried.
I can't take Hypercharge with me to my grave. We all look the same when we're dead, a bag of bones.
Yeah.
You can't take the podcast with you. Yes, you could argue, but what about my son, my family, daughter, their legacy? At the end of the day, they're going to have a decent life. We're born, we're lucky to be born sort of where we are.
Yeah.
And if you see what I mean, like, where do you draw the line in the sand? Like, that you could go so far as say, everybody's going to die one day. So just my rules are, do what makes you happy, but be kind. Just be kind in the process. I don't care what you do, who you are. If you're kind and you're doing what makes you happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, and exactly.
I think again, that's why this is why Hypercharge is so good with the developers and whatnot, because we have this perspective on life and it applies to the development of the game.
That's one thing we've all. I mean, like I say, with King and myself and Gaz, of course, King and Iron Lords, they went public as an LLC, which was awesome for them. That was a huge milestone for them doing that. And of course, Gaz is a company as well with Game On Daily. It's massive. And
I mean, setting up a company isn't that much. You just set up a company.
It's just it's a case of just getting to.
When I pay off the loans,
then
that'll be fun.
That's what I'm saying. But it's the mindset and really following something that you love to do and knowing that at some point you want that thing that you love doing to be able to then be the thing that you're doing, and then the other thing you don't have to do anymore. And essentially, that's really
it's passion for it. Passion for it. You love it. You love.
And that's what it is. It's the same with us.
Come to a podcast on a weekly basis because we love being a part of it. We love to talk about.
And guys, you've mentioned there, it's the initial outlay, and developers have got exactly the same thing. Setting up something that can improve. Like anyone can set up a podcast, but to actually get it going places, it takes a lot of investment. Like the amount of outlay. Like I've put in a couple of thousand myself. I know Gaz has put in, like you say, 100,000. Iron Lords, thousands, no doubt, into the show. And it's a substantial outlay, and it's to the point where you're going like, it not only does it need to work, but I want it to it has to work, and this is what I want it to do.
Yeah,
traveling and everything came out of our pockets.
Yeah,
we went to California and gave away 200 plus T-shirts.
Yep.
I've done
Now,
that.
it may not sound like nothing, but
No
if
one remembered
those
us.
T-shirts cost $32 to make,
Yeah.
got them printed up, got them shipped out there, and I'm driving around in a Corvette and I'm pulling up to people in random places and handing out T-shirts.
I did
Listen,
that.
I'm 6'4",
Bad
275
marketing.
pounds.
Bad
I'm a
marketing. Waste of
big
money.
dude. Okay, so me coming up to somebody and hand like, take this shirt, you're like, ah.
They're like, oh,
Absolutely.
take mine.
But to go from point A to point B, and that the whatever money comes into the podcast, we fund it right back into the
Yep.
podcast. Cameras, microphone, production, bridging the community. To leave a legacy for somebody else to leave. Like you said, we're all going to be a bag of bones when we're done, right? But there's also going to be people there that's later on that's going to be left around to see. Your legacy is going to be hypercharged.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And your children, your grandchildren, your family, and this is what Pop made. When Pop dug in, and they're gonna talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, and they're gonna say, this is the stuff that when my grandfather sat down and he made this game, and this I can go to this. We're leaving a digital footprint that is going to be remembered throughout time.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's what every show that I go on, I try to leave a little some breadcrumbs for my children to say this inside. So, like you said, you hug your father a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And you're shedding a lot of stuff. That's what I want. So if I'm not as huggable all the time, they can look on it and be like, wow, he's really a cool dude at this point.
It's so true what you're saying, because I've said this a lot and I forgot to mention it. And I'll try not to get emotional when I say this, because I really love my dad. And I mean this, hand on my heart. When I get older, if I can keep doing what I'm doing with the game and stuff, I will be telling my kids not about the money I made or the games I've made. I will tell them about the wonderful, beautiful moments I had with their granddad. And that's the legacy my dad's made. And that's the legacy I want to make. Yes, provide a good life, but it's more about the times when the stuff I teach them, what my mum and dad taught me. I try and the places I take
some
them.
precious life memories and lessons that you learn from your parents.
I don't want them. I don't want my kids to remember me. Oh, he bought me a Lambo. He did that. No, I want my kids to say, my dad helped me pass my driving test. My dad, my dad taught me,
how to edit a source video.
Things like that. So, and with you being a father, Crocs, I bet you'd want the same thing. You want to be remembered for being a good sort of dad, if you know what I mean. Like,
I'm his number one fan. Like, he made the game, and I said, it blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, I have a little genius. So I'm like his ultimate biggest fan. So it's he's wearing Crocs right now too, which is really great.
mini Croc is his name.
Prince Croc and King Croc.
Prince Croc.
Can I get some water, guys? I can still.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But no, Gaz and King, like I say, it's for both of you guys. It's that initial putting everything into it, because we both know, and of course we've all got game plans for where we want to be. You can clearly see the game plan of where Iron Lords need to be, and Gaz with not only the website but the way you want the platform, the name of Game On Daily, and everything, and where that wants to be. And we've all got aspirations of where these particular brands need to be, and of course, Midweek Mix-Up's no different. I want to go well beyond just podcasts. We need to get the website up and running and get reviews and everything sorted.
Not easy, man.
It's another step altogether.
Fucking
And
it's crazy hard.
There's so many mistakes we've made, man. People don't understand this. Like, there's a crossroad moment where me and Ace are like, if I'm going to go do this, because of Game On Daily, that means I'm not going to get married in 5 years. I had to write off. I was like, if I'm going to put my all with my day job as a lawyer and I can't pursue relationships, which I didn't do for 5 years. There's like a crossroads moment, like, like I'm not doing that.
I got jokes. I got jokes. But those jokes is for later. I'll send you a wild DM.
Send it to me. Send it to me. Although I can't do that because bitches be crazy. No, there you go. But
He didn't believe that. He didn't say that. Leave him
I
alone.
didn't say. No, but yeah, well, whatever. But I could do that. I can't do that and then devote my energy to game one day. So it's a life decision. Then I want to get the app up. We made a mistake with the developer who screwed us. Bounce back loan, we have to pay that like 50 grand out of our own pocket right now. Like Ace is like, well, how are we gonna make that money? I'm like, just enjoy the journey. But it's easy to say that I enjoy the journey, but the bank man is like, yo,
The source is gonna pay the bills.
Could you imagine?
The thing is, guys, I know it sounds cheesy, but the first step to learning is to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And some of them are very
That's-
costly
yeah, so
mistakes.
that-
Yeah.
The first time you realized the stove is hot was you touched it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. It's true. And like it is in content creation or in development, making mistakes is the only way you can actually get to where you need to go. There is absolutely nobody in the history of development or content creation that hasn't made any
How
mistakes.
have we evolved as humans? Like making mistakes. Unfortunately, our ancestors had to take a quite big hit, but how we've evolved.
And a lot of them are very
That's
costly.
our human story. That's what makes us so great, in my opinion, is our mistakes.
Yeah.
That's why I
Perfect
say thank you.
robots.
Very costly mistakes, and you do like in development as well. Like some developers can put out a game that costs them so much money to make, and it just does not. No matter how much they've put into it, how much effort they put into it, it just doesn't take off, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
Joe, sorry, I have a serious question, and I'll be remiss if I don't get this question out. The engine, is it proprietary or is it an engine that you use like
Unreal Engine.
Unreal Engine, yeah.
So, are you super hyped for Unreal Engine 5? Did you get a chance to
So
test that?
we've tested it a bit. We moved. Sorry, 2 seconds.
The dog said, "I got to go to the bathroom."
He's gone shopping and he's screaming now. He's a mummy's boy.
Dog's like, it's my turn on the podcast.
Don't worry, I got one of those too.
The dog's like, oh no, he's gonna start talking about Unreal Engine again. I'm out of here. Let me out.
So yeah, we recently moved to Unreal 4.26, I think. So it's the version just below Unreal Engine 5.
Okay.
I don't think we'll go to Unreal Engine 5. It's a lot of work to move everything over. But yeah, UE4 is what we're using.
Okay.
That's interesting because don't Unreal kind of make out like it's not a big thing and it's easy to just move over.
I think it's subjective. I think it depends on, from what I understand from a technical standpoint, how you have designed the game under the hood. And that might be because we've not done it in a way that is proficient in moving over, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had this conversation on the podcast before, especially me and Dutch, where we've spoke about Sea of Thieves, which is my favorite game, and they use Unreal 4, like yourself. And one of the things we've said is, do you think they'll move over to 5 because big advances and all the rest of it? And I've said in the past, I think it depends on how the game's made, because Unreal will tell you that it's easy, but
yeah, we want you to use it.
Yeah,
no,
but that's what companies do when they want you to do something. They want you to sign up.
Didn't say, like, if you look at the patch notes and stuff like that, if you're going over, they tell you specifically. I think it's 4.61 or something like that. They said if you have anything lower than the last update to the Unreal Engine 4, don't do the update first to bring it current, then start the process. And then they're like, bring it over in sections.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Opposed to trying to everybody thinks it's like a switch, like it's a button.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, we know it wasn't.
Stuff. No.
Yeah, and it depends as well, because I know
if they got a chance to play around with it.
an Unreal Engine 5 as well, I know, of course, switching from 4 to 5, it depends again on Unreal Engine, because if you've built your own kind of set scripts and things within Unreal Engine 4 in the first place that you've done that are proprietary, like your particular things that you've built within 4, that would only work within 4, and if you moved it, it probably wouldn't work again because you'd have to rewrite those particular scripts. again.
Yeah.
And those are part of the issues, because you could theoretically move all the assets over and the generic base of the game, but then you would have issues with certain parts of it.
Yeah, it's like, and the blueprint system is all intertwined, I think, with it. Again, I'm limited with this, but I just know Deck, the technical director or the lead programmer, if we could move over to UE5, if it was quite simple, we'd do it.
Yeah.
But I just know it's not as simple as just click a button and move
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
And I would imagine that's the same for most devs. So I think it's a question with most people.
Yeah,
I think a good question on this then, Joe, is the next project, which you're obviously remiss to not talk about today until Hypercharge is done. But the next project then, is that going to be something where you go, right, let's see what Unreal Engine 5 is all about and start from scratch there?
Probably, yeah. I'm very sure we will. And again, we can take everything we've learned since 2015 and apply it to that engine. Because with Hypercharge as well, like I've said it before, people don't realize the past of the Hypercharge's past. But I like to describe Hypercharge development-wise as a turd rolled in diamonds, because we've really made the best out of a worst thing. Because basically, long story short, we got left with Hypercharge when back then in 2016, somebody else was in charge of the project lead of the game. So there was a bit more developers then, maybe like 6, 7 of 8 of us then. And we went into early access in Steam. It was a right mess. The game failed. It was awful. All the original members, was now stayed to try and make the game better because we had no option. Otherwise, we would have gone bust. It would basically cost more money to make a new game. So we kind of our hands were tied.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of things, as we're saying, make mistakes, learning. Some of the stuff in the game, because of the way it's been designed from a programming perspective, we haven't been really able to change certain things. So when people are requesting features, we would love to add certain things. But because of the way the game has been designed in terms of layers, if we have to change certain things, it affects this thing, that thing, that thing, and then this thing, and it can mess up so much stuff. And that's kind of on us to a degree, but it's just what comes with the territory of developing games and the experience that you don't have and what you learn later on.
Yeah.
So but with the next game, we could take as well all that with us to the new engine. So that's again why I'm so excited when we do the next game, because it's going to be good.
Oh yeah, 100%. Is there anything then that you've learned specifically? Because again, coming from a painting and decorating background and then going into head of social media and marketing for Hypercharge, what are the kind of key standout things that you've learned, both good and bad, about being in your new job now, working in the games scene?
I'd say definitely the toxicity is being something which I've always been around and dealt with.
Yeah.
Through like bullying and stuff in school. But it's just with online, it's different in a way. I'm not saying it's worse, it's just different. That's what I've struggled with a lot. And it's not that I can't take constructive feedback. Like, look, I really want. I'm a work in progress as a person. I really want to better myself. No issue admitting when I'm wrong. If I think I'm right and I don't see it and I'm wrong later, I'll go to your house and shake your hand and say I'm sorry. But it's the toxicity that I find hard, where the personal attacks and things like that. It really upsets and winds me up, and I wish it didn't. But I'm a sensitive person.
Yeah.
It's the way I am. I won't change. I just have to learn. We can't control people. We can only react to them. And I'm still learning how to react to that type of stuff in this job or this landscape.
Yeah.
And
I think we know as well, though, Joe, specifically on the toxicity, and we've, unfortunately, again, but also a positive point, because it highlighted it, because obviously we saw that with God of War, and of course the God of War kind of scenario made you speak out about your experiences, which was both obviously hard to watch, but also required. Let's kind of put it that way. Because it kind of sheds more of a human light on the situation, because I think a lot of people, specifically the toxic ones, not us regular gamers, specifically the toxic ones, don't see developers as humans. They just see them as people making a game. They don't see them as an actual person, so they just think, oh, they don't have emotions, so I can just say whatever I like and get away with it. And it's not to see that behind the screen, there's other people like them just trying to make something that people love to make in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mike Tyson said it great. I can't remember what he said. People have got too comfortable saying stuff on social media, and he said something about getting punched in the mouth or something like that. I don't condone violence, but I get where he's coming from. I think it's a bit of a epidemic in its own sense, where people you see, we as humans, this is coming from a marketing and PR perspective. I believe we're not meant to be this interconnected at a level in this grand scheme of things. It's not natural. Yes, we're social creatures, against my opinion, but the way how it's so easy to access to people, it goes against nature, in my opinion.
Well, it is against nature because it's technology, but coming from the spiritual aspect of it, right? The spiritual aspect of it is without the technology, the conversations that you have with an individual will be a whole lot different than you will have with a barrier and a screen and distance between, right? So this is what Mike Tyson is talking about. He's talking about you having a conversation with somebody. You'll be more reluctant than calling them a name or something in their face, opposed
Especially
to behind the
I was
screen.
going to say they certainly wouldn't say it to his face, would they?
Right. So the punch in the face is more accurate because you would say certain things on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever, and you're being condescending, you're being callous, you're being unfeeling. Now, if we can actually merge the part where we actually feel, and you feel your words that you say to somebody, and you can actually feel what those words felt like, it wouldn't be any toxicity, because then you will understand exactly words do hurt, because we're words don't hurt, but sticks and stones are no, words actually do hurt, and especially to a lot of the indigo children that we do have now that are growing up now with this technology. Words are our new battlegrounds, so those words actually do hurt. That's why I tell people we have voices that carry.
Yeah.
Right. And you're in a position, and you may not know it, but there's somebody that's looking to you and listening to you and trying to understand life in general. And if you say the wrong words to these individuals, it will put them on a different path. So you have to be cognizant in the words that you do say, and you do be kind. Like you said, be kind. Be kind, be nice. It goes a long way. I wake up every day happy hearted, try my best. When I see somebody, I greet them. Good morning. Have a great day. Nice to see you. And a lot of times you don't want to have that feeling, but you have to, because that spreading that cheer can go a long way. Like you said,
just
you got
that,
a bill.
just that little bit of
50,000.
happiness that you mentioned there could make someone's day.
Yes, it could, because you could have got the worst news in the world, and somebody holds the door for you and say, "Good morning, brother. Have a great day."
Exactly. Yeah. And
Might
that
change
that
the
little interaction there could change that person's outlook on that day and make that day that little bit better for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in school, going through what I went through, the intense bullying, and I always remember one thing that stood out for me. I don't know if you have it where you guys are, but like we had like deputy head teachers, so the one below the head teacher, and I remember. Because I was what you'd call in the special class, the labeled it horrible back then.
Yeah.
Remedial.
Yeah, I was in that as well. Don't worry. It's because I'm lacking of concentration. I just cannot concentrate.
And I got bullied for it.
Yeah,
called names for it.
So the system sort of, I say, failed me, and it probably failed you guys in a certain way of how they integrate you into this weird thing. But I would ask questions. To me, it would be a serious question. It wasn't anything rude. It was a question which may be slightly off topic because of the way I struggled with education.
Right.
It didn't align with the particular topic in hand. And I remember the deputy teacher saying to me, she looks at me in front of the class and said, "Joe, are you slow in life?" And then said something after calling me stupid. And I remember my eyes filled up, and I was probably 14 at this time. And I remember just telling one of my friends about it because I was that hurt by it. I still get dreams and flashbacks of that now, along with the other stuff. But that is something that if I ever go to a school or I see anything related to a school, that comes in my head because that was that just going about what words can do.
Yeah.
I was at a point with the bullying where when kids are saying it, loads of people are saying it. Yeah, you kind of you get used to it a little bit. It hurts, but
Grown
then
ups.
It's
when
something
a
different when
deputy
it's an
head
authority
says it,
figure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
authority
believed it
figure.
then.
Yeah,
I believed it then.
exactly.
I thought, you know what? There's something wrong with me. I'm
That's horrible.
literally stupid. And that's what. But that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And
remember?
to some people, sorry, just quick before
Yeah,
I
go
forget.
ahead.
To some people, I said to you, Gas, it might not be a bad thing. But any psychologist or any qualified counselor will tell you, and I think any decent human
As a
being will
star.
tell you, abuse is abuse.
Yeah,
Like abuse is abuse. I know people who have been bullied, and the parents have woken up
yeah,
to them being hung in the garage.
yeah,
I know
Oh,
people who've
shit.
been molested very badly. Again, it's still bad, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is very
yeah, yeah.
and then they've found strategies to accept and cope with it. So what I'm saying is, words has killed somebody, but physically molested somebody hasn't. So what I'm not comparing the two. I'm saying
Right.
we shouldn't compare it. We should accept abuse is abuse. It's subjective, and everybody takes things very differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very star.
Absolutely.
Remember when I said
Absolutely.
I got into the car after we did the LLC, after we had our lunch, and I cried because we're four, childhood friends. And at a point in time, they were like, "Oh, you're playing video games is not going to amount to anything." And it was just like the big, finger to each and every last person that doubted our commitment to each other,
Yeah.
because we made a commitment to each other. It
Yeah.
wasn't a commitment to something. It was just to each other. Like, am I my brother's keeper? And yes, I am my brother's keeper. So it was those commitments that we made to each other in silent or verbally or whatever. But no matter what, whenever it was a hard time, they were there.
Yeah.
So the fact that we are making something out of that friendship that is something incredible is that's why you can say with conviction that I can talk for my brothers.
Yeah.
So I absolutely understand the words that come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with all of us, and again with much with the Iron Lords and with Gaz and Asa and more of the team behind you as well, because it's not just you and Asa now. Of course, you've got a team of people that help you, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But we're exactly the same. It's the same on this show. Like me, Pat, Erwin, Mick, Jen, Shom, who's not here again, and again we've all had our struggles, but there's so many of us now, and it's exactly the same. We can speak for each other because we know what they think, we know what they say, we know what everybody wants, and whether or not they're struggling or not. And it's a case of, you need time off, you take time off. Like, it isn't that type of place. Like, we're all there for each other, and we all have the same goals and aspects and where things want to be and what we want to do, and just enjoy it as it is. But there are going to be those people that don't understand the fine line between constructive criticism in development or content creation and just plain old bitching, where they're just like, and it's a
That's
fact.
true. At
Like,
the same time, I will say I'm a big proponent for the spoken word and critique. One of my biggest heroes is Dave Chappelle. And if it were up, and this may sound really rude, and it's not intended to be rude, but this soft. I also see. I was bullied, by the way, pretty rawly as well in school. I went to a very racist school. But it is what it is.
We
And I
were
got
all racist back in
Yeah,
the
right.
day.
Yeah.
Back then it was normal. Right? It was our
back then it
normal.
was normal, and I wouldn't change a thing, man, because I had some raw fights. I got expelled ultimately. I was a bit crazy at the end, but I also will say I treasure the craft of free speech, because those sides of us that make us human. I do the source videos with zero guilt, where I'll rinse people. I will take the piss out of people. But at least you know what I'm doing is true. Anything I say on camera I will say it to your face. That's my rule. So I understand, this the loser who does all those things on the internet. The reason I'm saying this is because I got bullied at one point for years. I didn't fight back. I was scared to fight back until once it got really bad.
Exactly the
Yeah.
same, guys. Most people are. They're afraid to fight back.
I was afraid to fight back.
I spent the first 4 years of school being bullied, and I'm 6 foot. I've always been about 6 foot, even when I left. I was easily 5 foot something when I started high school. By the time I've been fourth year, I was like 6'1", 6'2". I spent the entire year being bullied, and then right at the end, this lad came at me, and with one punch, I put him in hospital. And the head teacher wanted me expelled, and my dad came in. I only found this out a few years back. She was for kicking me out of the school, and his words were, "This has been happening for almost 5 years. Why the fuck did you not do something about it?"
Exactly the same. I had a kid.
I think your brothers make, because we had the same story. Mine involved a fire extinguisher.
Exactly the same
story.
Yours involved.
Mine didn't involve a fire extinguisher.
Slight interruption here. Slight interruption here because we've got a very large super chat there from Crazy Louie.
Whoa! Time out! 2 seconds.
What is that?
You need to check that super chat from Crazy Lou.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
100. So it's $100 from Crazy Louie Gaming. Always ultimately the crazy person, but I love him for it. Happy 2-year birthday midweek mix-up. Hello, King David. Hope you're doing great. Hi, Gaz. Miss our Twitter chats. Hi, Hypercharge Joe. Thank you for your team for such an awesome game. Keep up with fantastic work. Great show. You all rock. Again, happy 2-year birthday. Have a great birthday.
Thank you, Lou.
Wow.
Massive shout out to you, Crazy Louie. Always appreciated it. Massive. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's insane. This is what happens when Xbox has no games. Like, people can super chat like that.
Oh my god, this guy.
Yeah, but
just dropped Dust Pulse. Get away.
But this is this.
Thing I was gonna say is this on the serious point on the bullies. When I started fighting back, is when I start becoming friends with the people who made my life miserable. And there was a story on the other side of that story where I felt so sorry for them. I went to their house. I remember this guy, John Costello, used to bully the shit out of me. And then when I fought back and I beat the shit out of his friend, I'm so proud of that moment. Then he started hanging around with me. And I was like looking out for him as he was smoking. And then built a friendship. And he was really nervous. I went to his friend's house, his house. And his house, a broken home. Mom was screaming at the husband. And John is like teary-eyed, looking at me in shame, like, "I'm so sorry, man." I'm like, "What the flip? This guy should kick the shit out of me. What is he doing?" It's like, "Don't worry about it, man. My parents fight all the time." He's like, "No, man." And it was just like, that's the realization hit in. Then I started hanging around with these dickheads, to be fair. And they were
unfortunate though, but
story.
most bullies are like that. They come from broken homes, and you do feel sorry
Well,
for
it's
them.
learned behavior.
Yeah.
They take it out on others because they're frustrated.
Yeah,
but we have to teach them better. This is the reason why we're active in the community and stuff like that. Yeah, we joke around, and
it's jokes.
It's all jokes, and we have to keep that jokes line there. But it's fantastic stuff.
Yeah,
it's
like you say, guys.
Happy that I came on today and met Joe.
Yeah,
I am absolutely.
I had the same feeling on XNC. I was like, is that a game dev is gonna be like, this guy's gonna be wanking himself off, and gonna be more. But no, it was just really refreshing. I'm glad for you, man.
Yeah, I just text Cog. I was like, we need to have him on.
On the Iron Lords.
Yeah, definitely. But no, it's what it is. I completely agree, Gaz. But yours. And much to Joe's point as well, it's the method in which, because of course the keyboard, the technological age has created this barrier where they think that they can get away with it, and these are the same people that will say things that they would not say in face to face. Unlike yourself or King or me, who if we say something to somebody, that's something we would say to someone's face, not hide away from it and hide away from the actual retribution. Yeah. Whereas the people that are given the verbal abuse to developers, or even us, aren't the people that will stand behind their words when you go to them face to face. These are the people that just think they can get away with it.
What concerns me is not so much if I would ask one of this person, would you dare go say that? Regardless of say yes. Yeah, why would you say that? Yeah, for example, like, why would somebody go to a real physical business and go in and say, "This is a dead business, it's fucking shit"?
The thought of walking into a shop and
imagine
that. That's a feature skip
But-
idea for a source.
So, yeah,
book.
it's exactly right. That's
He
Walk into a
already-
shopping mall midweek and one of the stores is empty, and you're like, "This is a dead
your
business."
Store shit. Your store shit.
but see, the thing is, he already made the voice. You already read the voice, and you hear the voice, and you make the face
Yeah.
because you assume this is exactly how you
Yeah,
must
yeah.
look when you're doing this. Absolutely, that's do the same thing.
That's a great point. Yeah, you associate as a voice with them, this little nasally little
Like that.
piece of shit. Yeah. Keep thinking,
Yeah,
"He
just like
said."
that. Just like just like that. Because you
That's
gotta
how they
make that
come
face
across- they come
when you're on the
across like
keyboard, right? When
You know,
right before you press send, you make that face.
you don't know something. Like I'm
They're
not.
sitting there thinking they've got a checkmate on you as well, and they're pulling that face.
Honestly,
true.
like guys, I'm not a violent person, and I'd like to think I'd never get to that point where I'd like want to really punch one of these people. But there's times I'm dealing with toxic
happens.
people, and do you know what I imagine? I imagine if I had a magic power, I could teleport behind them, right? Honestly. And say this is my keyboard, they're there typing, and just grab the keyboard from behind.
No,
Just
I'm
like that.
I'm absolutely a violent person, but
Yep.
the reason why I refrain
Uh.
from that is because one, I used to box, but two, there's absolutely other ways. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, you went and you found the genesis of the problem for the kid, and it was his home. You gotta, and your question is, why would you do this? That's my whole question. Like this one guy said something on Twitter right now, and my question was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
why would you say that? Because it didn't need that illicit response. You could have gave me a different response. But again, there's stuff that's going on in people's homes, and we as a community, we should be able to talk to one another, right? So
yeah.
back to the game. The game bridges the gap between old and new, young and old, and it gets that point to where we can all share in this wonderful experience of toys. That experience where the game brings us to, right? That place where you feel like a kid again, right? Because as a kid, we feel invincible, we feel fun, we feel expressive, we feel love. This is the point, right? So
That's the thing.
That's
It's
what we have to get to. Not to where we jaded at.
Yeah.
Because the game is going to come out on all platforms, so it's not like you care about one platform over the other, right?
Yeah.
It's listen, it's 5 of us, bro. If I can multiply myself, I would.
A little version of you.
Yeah, right. I have a whole bunch of them.
The one thing,
No, it's fine, man. The utility of what you're creating is amazing. Because when we created it, we actually genuinely good intentions with the news aggregation platform, but the utility is there for people. But for you and your game, the utility for something like yours, if you can compare the two, is astronomical, because you've already got the letters from the brothers telling us that you helped me have the stories, and that's someone who actually took their time to actually write to you. There are 1,000 stories there that they haven't written to you. Don't know how or haven't bothered doing so, but that has had the effect on their lives. Loads of games have had this effect on our lives. So it's really cool to have like something in your games is like your game doing that is very unique in gaming. And then normally like I'm quite relenting my critique of stuff, but when it comes to games like this, I'm not just saying because you're on the show, how many games can you name that have a whole accessibility feature set, split screen, that kind of longing or connection between generations, which is almost impossible nowadays. So you guys are proud. You've done it successfully in almost every single metric there is, and I'm really intrigued to hear about your next game, which you'll DM to me, and then put me in your game. You remember you said that? You said you put me in your game. Put a photo there. Put it on the toilet. I don't care.
I did.
Yeah. You put a picture there.
It's just gonna be a big giant bottle of sauce in the game.
A bottle of sauce.
Yeah.
the one thing I wanted to kind of know is,
Yeah, I'll take a preview copy as well.
there was one thing actually you mentioned before, having no QA testers, and there was one thing that, and again, I think Joe from Song of Iron, again being a one-man team, it was the same. He would be able to test it himself, but he had no one to test it for him or help him test and find bugs and issues. Have you thought about doing kind of a more for, should we say, the hardcore supporters of yourself, kind of a Discord play testing where you kind of provide them these, should we say, not alpha, but these versions of the game that they can test for you and help you develop the game. It's nothing, because all I got, because I was part of it as well with Song of Iron, and I was just credited on the back as a playtester, and it was like, thank you for this. And that in itself was just awesome to see that I was in this game as a playtester. Is something like that with the community to help you kind of develop it behind closed doors, kind of cross the thoughts?
So it's something that is slowly been happening.
Yeah.
Just the infrastructure all the time, or the forethought hasn't been put into it. And I think because, contradicting myself a little bit here, although we struggled not having it, what we've done so far has kind of been working. So the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But there is definitely room for improvement, and I think we could integrate community members more into like a testing build. We do have a testing branch now in Hypercharge and have a few players.
Yeah.
It's just not at a scale that can reach maximum efficiency.
Yeah.
However, on the Xbox version, I think we are planning to get a proper QA company involved and smash it out the park. We want that to be flawless.
Yeah.
First impressions, right? Yeah.
And now with a little bit more funding, we can afford to do it. So
yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. I was going to say one of my final questions anyway. One of my final questions for yourself is obviously looking around the area and what you've included in terms of the visuals, and you're talking spinners as we know them as their other name, spinners and hockey, air hockey tables and things like that. Is there any other kind of retro things that you want to kind of put in there that kind of harken back to your kind of childhood and growing up with toy soldiers, and whether it be like a retro games console stashed off in the corner somewhere or something like that?
Oh, have you been playtesting?
I have not.
You've been playtesting.
There's going to be an OGX. There's an OGX.
One of the environments has some something very retro arcade like, interactable. I'll put it that way, which is really cool. But as for other sort of brands that we'll take inspiration from, I mean, we've got loads of ideas we'd love to do, honestly. It'll just keep probably happening.
Yeah.
More different types of enemies that are reminiscent of our childhood.
And obviously at the moment you've got indoor indoor from what I've seen from the playtest and things like that. Is there an idea to go outside into the outdoor segment and kind of have like the sand pits and things like that? And
you been playtesting?
Still no.
Get a little bit fishy this. Well, we do have a garden map, but we also have so there's another game mode that we've been working on, but we paused it because we need to update it, and we changed how to make it better. A survival mode, and that map we designed for that, which will actually be part of the co-op campaign now, it's the biggest map we've ever done. It's a huge pirate-themed park, sand pits, crocodile things, slides, fake cannons. It's so cool. So that's going to be an amazing map, and we might be able to get vehicles working for that particular game mode as well.
Oh, nice.
You should have a bathtub map.
Little Tonka truck.
Yeah, well, we need that actually.
Yeah.
We do have a bathroom map, and you can go in the bath.
But my face will be there
Just
soon.
speedball it down the right.
Yeah, right.
You want one of them
really
little
cool.
like blow up swimming pools? That's what
Hopping
you
off
want.
of sponges and hopping
The
off.
blow swimming pool is in the garden, and you can collect coins inside of it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. No,
It's gonna be
it's so many awesome ideas, and again, it's one of them things as well where I suppose your ideas are really limitless for what you can potentially put into these different environments, specifically in a toy perspective. There's so many different things that you could implement that could be.
Yeah, there's loads. You know what the biggest thing I've just when you mentioned going back to when you mentioned learned about development is one thing I have found from a marketing perspective a lot, and I don't know how true this holds if the game becomes very successful is, oh dear me, the name itself, Hypercharge Unboxed, has been the most difficult name to market I've ever had experience with. People call it Hyperbox Unchained, Hyperhinge Unlubed.
Unlubed.
Yeah,
I think that's a different game. That's
Different game it's playing.
That's
Honestly,
the type of game
people-
that
different
Hertog
kind
Bean
of
plays on
noise,
his
right?
VR
It's one of
headset.
those interactive ones you get on those websites. I
Yeah,
remember that one.
Hyperloop.
Hyper Hot Wheels. Like,
That's one of them
honestly.
games that Hertog Vin plays on his VR headset.
The VR experience.
Oh god. Yeah. Hyper. From kids to adults.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, that sounded really
Yeah.
wrong.
That's that special DLC that he's got
That
working
doesn't
on.
sound like a
I didn't mean
family-friendly
it like
version
that.
of the game.
That's when
DLC
Andy
incoming.
accidentally walks into his mum's room.
Oh no!
Goes into that other drawer, the bottom drawer.
Toy Story gone wild.
Uh,
There's DLC for you, right?
Yeah,
there.
Oh
that's
my
that
God.
It's like
DLC.
that-
Andy's mum's room.
It's like that episode of Simpsons, you know, when the toys come alive. And
You remember that?
it's like, where have you been? He's like, where haven't I been?
Oh my god, my eyes
No,
are
but-
watering.
Honestly, like though, people like it's not from a marketing point of view, and even I think a business savvy point of view, it's not a marketable game. And I do argue that titles of games or products, if they're smart about the name, can help to market themselves.
Yeah.
Meaning, if Hypercharge was called, for example, Toy Soldier Heroes, top of my head, it
Yeah.
sells itself. The marketing explains what it is from the get go. Hypercharge is so disconnected from toys, and that's our target audience. So that's what makes it hard. And people just say so many different names. We had some big guy playing it the other day, and he was like, I keep wanting to call it Hyperbox, and I don't know why. And we've had journalists call it Hyperchained, Hyperbox, and Hyper Unboxed, honestly. And I'm just
Can
like,
I ask,
oh.
can I ask why did you choose that name then?
So it was just back in the day, inexperienced again. We thought at the time, and at the time, to be fair, there was no name like Hypercharge until then. A few years later, everybody's got it: Hyperrune, Hyperscape, and all this other stuff. But nothing had it, and we had the perception of. I didn't really fully agree with it, but I was lack of confidence and stuff. I never was vocal enough about it, and a lack of experience as well. So looking back, I wish we had chose a more action figure toy name. However, I suppose the good thing is, if it does become very popular, it'll definitely stand out, I suppose, the
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. You inadvertently made your job harder.
Yeah. Really harder.
Ah,
It
we've all been
really-
there.
You was like, what the hell was I thinking when I said yes?
I was.
I was gonna say, you're not the only one though, to be fair. Like going back to Song of Iron, the most famous one was they did the Twitch stream for Xbox, and they had Song of Iron on it, and they called it King of Iron. On
I
a
remember something like that.
yeah,
On
and I was
the
like,
live stream that was promoting the game for Xbox.
King on their main Twitch ID
I could-
at
I
Xbox
could-
show. It was like you could have come on, come on, do you please? But
Wow.
it does happen. and peop-
Here's a lesson. Here's a lesson to learn from somebody else's mistakes. Don't get Twitch streamers to advertise your game
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because they
Yeah.
didn't even learn the name.
Wow. Yeah, they don't. Honestly, you'd be amazed. Even journalists,
not
some
amazed.
journalists, you'd be amazed at the lack of research certain press influencers, journalists do. Not all of them. There's a lot of good ones.
No,
but-
there are some good
Yeah.
ones, but you have to choose the right
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. But it's been an absolute blast. We are going to wrap it up here now. But Joe, I want to say a massive shout out to you, brother. It's been so much fun having you on. Really good having these both a mixture of mad conversations there at the end and in depth and deep conversations, and obviously keeping it real as well. Having a little bit more of a human conversation from a developer perspective, and that's really what kind of we look to talk about. I think a lot of people forget about that as well sometimes when they're talking to
Yeah.
developers and development teams, is
Yeah,
having
they
that
think this
human
corporate
interaction.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I have my heart on my sleeve. Honestly, like I'm just one
Yeah,
of
that's
you guys.
obvious.
Honestly.
But yeah, it's
It's
been
so clear.
absolutely awesome. But I want to give you the pleasure of doing your outro first, sir. Let people know, of course, where they can find yourself and the awesome Hypercharge team, and of course where they can play the game now, and where they'll be able to play the game next.
So you can play Hypercharge on Steam now if you type Hypercharge Unboxed on Steam. You can also search it on the eShop as well, Nintendo Switch. We plan to release on on Xbox Q1 2023, so probably April-March time. You can also sign up to the Xbox newsletter for any news. Just go to signup.playhypercharge.com. And we're on Twitter, quite active there at Hypercharge Game. And yeah, and then lastly, congratulations on the 2-year anniversary. Check out Game On Daily. Check out Crocs' Crocs. Check them all out. Check out Wondering Duck. Check out all these amazing podcasts. Honestly, I think it's amazing work what you guys do as well. And I think you deserve,
that
good,
£1 million that you promised us yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Listen, right? If I'm making millions, I'll give you a couple of thousand. Trust me.
Thank you.
You heard it here. Binding contract, everyone.
Ain't got a solicitor. Oh,
But yeah, no.
Don't worry. I won't hold that as binding.
No, yeah, thank you once more, Joe. It has been an absolute blast, and of course, when you are getting closer to that ultimate release for the game, we'll get you on the show. And as we did with Song of Iron, as we did with numerous others, when it does release, we'll get you on. We'll do some giveaways, and we'll buy a load of copies in and give them away to the community so they can enjoy it as well.
Like I said this to the Xbox era guys. I think it's Xbox era. That's how you pronounce it. Honestly, like I've always said this, I know what it's like coming obviously from an indie background, working hard, and I know what it's like dealing with bigger websites. I won't name anything who don't really care as much, in my opinion. So when it gets nervous for the time, everybody follow Hypercharge on Twitter or follow me and you guys here. Follow me, Indie Game Joe, whatever, or add me to a WhatsApp group. And when it gets closer to launch, we can do some things to help get you some views with the game, because there'll be a lot more hype when it builds up. So just keep me in the loop as well, because I'll probably forget. But I'll do something where I can help you guys as well, because that means more to me than just keep always trying to get the real bigger sites, because it's the stuff you're doing what keeps, in my opinion, real gaming alive.
I appreciate that massively. Massively.
Thanks a lot, man. I'm already following you, but I'm just gonna copy your profile and stick it into the chat as well, man. So other people.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome stuff. Next up, the other two special guests. We'll start with the saucy one himself. Gaz, thank you again, brother, for coming along to help celebrate our 2-year anniversary, and of course, have this awesome conversation with Joe. Let people know, of course, where they can find you and where they can view your latest saucy video.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, man. Congratulations on 2 years, man. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And what a way to celebrate with the realest chat you can get. So with the great people, man. So absolutely. And I'm glad just to have Joe, all of you guys, especially King Crocs as well. General C, we killed it as always. The source video is on my YouTube channel, Game On Daily, one word. This time I attacked PlayStation fanboys again. Obviously, they're so easy to attack. And defending bad corporate practice and entitled gamers. So please check that out. Please check out GameOnDaily.com. Please use the website. Lots of work has gone into that. Sexiest site, fast loading, all that shit. Just check it out. If you don't like it, just let me know what you find. I will more than 1,000% would love to hear your critiques on it. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And of course, Lord King Croc himself. Let people know where they can find you, brother. And of course, you've got so much going on with the Iron Lords. Not just yourself personally with King of Statues. You've still got the Fighting podcast as well. And of course, the Iron Lords proper. As well as Addicts content now as well. He's got his own
Yeah.
podcast within the Iron Lord's realm. Let people know where they can find your awesome stuff and go from there, brother.
Well, first, I want to say happy birthday. All right. I'm always around when you're having these big shows, and I'm so happy that you even look for me to be on them. I really do appreciate it. I swear. I can't wait to hang out with you at E3. I knew Gaz was coming on. Got a chance to hang out with the team again, and got a chance to meet Joe and Hypercharged. All right, Unboxed. So people don't get let's get it right. But it's been such a fun thing to hang out with you guys and to talk video games and to talk life and stuff like that, and actually get to the core principles of the game, because a lot of times people don't identify developers with actually having a heart, a soul, and being a person. And we know that they are living, breathing creatures.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
treat them as such. But go to lordsofgaming.net. One of the best websites that we have. That's where you can find us at. And you can go to Iron Lords Podcast Sundays at 1 p.m. You can follow me, King David OTW, on Twitter, where I'm actually roasting trolls all day long and having a great time doing
Oh, I
so.
love seeing those interactions. So they
Thank
make me
you.
laugh so hard.
Thank you. My meme game is vicious. It's absolutely vicious.
Yeah.
You can actually go to Combat Talk with the Kings Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Attic Show is during the week. I always usually catch it on Wednesdays. The Attic Show and KOS. That's King of the Statues. If you see all these little wonderful statues in the background, I'm working with Graphic God and Dallas Demand, and we are at Drumstar to cultivate a whole different intro, whole different overlay. As you know, the Combat
Woo.
Talk is a call-in show, so you guys can actually call in and interact in a whole different manner. So
Oh,
I
you're
know.
stealing our ideas for a Tuesday show. You
Oh,
piece of
too late, brother, too late. You slow, you blow.
Well, we might release it before you do.
But listen, it's fantastic stuff. I always have a great time here, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. Let's do it next year again on your other birthday.
Yes, 100%.
absolutely.
100%. No, it's been an absolute blast again. Thank you to all three of you for coming on. It does mean the world to us, of course, for people that we've always took inspiration from and helped us grow. To come on and kind of and be here to celebrate it as well. And it is again testament to you guys who continue to produce and also be there when we have questions or even just have a chat, or I send Gaz the occasional silly meme or anything. I think you liked that one with the ducks the other day. But other than that, it's an absolute blast. And again, thank you to both of you guys for always being there when we've needed support as well. It means the world to us. But the other two remaining podcast panel members, as the other two had to bow out for heat purposes. Mick, yourself, brother, thank you again for joining us, and of course, another successful permanent panel member day for you. Let people know where they can find you, and of course, what you've got coming up.
Yep. So it's Xbox Mick on Xbox Mick 29 on Twitter and most places. Just Mick 29 on Xbox, and we're usually streaming See Tuesdays with yourself and Jen, some of the other crew. Unfortunately, this week the heat got to us all. We had to give it a miss.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll be back on that again next week. Just like to say thanks to Gaz. Pleasure as always. King David or King Croc. Pleasure. Absolute honour to podcast with you both. And Joe, thank you very much for coming along, mate. It's been a pleasure. Hope we get to do this again soon. And King Croc, I have to go back to. Let me just find this just briefly. I did highlight it. There we go. So Mr. Joanna Dark put a message a while back. I don't know whether you saw it on the chat, but he said, "If you're King Croc now, does that make King? Does that make Cognito Lord Crocnito?"
Yes, it does. And as soon as I get this endorsement deal from Crocs, we will have a full rollout of Cognito walking down the runway wearing his Crocs. Yes, yes.
I'm going to make sure that the Iron Lord's Crocs are going to be the first Crocs I ever own.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I think if that ever came to fruition, full blown, you'll probably see tears running down my face because I actually love these things.
I love you, but I am not wearing those.
Listen,
bruv.
first, this will be the stipulation for you coming and staying in the house in Hollywood. If I got an
Oh, man.
endorsement deal, everyone that comes
If
inside
you're,
that house will have
if you're
one
going to
Crocs.
pay for me to come to Hollywood, then yeah, I'll wear some
Fine,
Crocs.
he knows how to barter that. I'm already sold.
Well, I mean, listen, from all the money that Joe's going to have extra, and he said he's going to cash app us, we're definitely going to be rolling in Crocs.
Incredible. Absolutely awesome.
No,
General
thank
C,
you all
last. Oh, go on.
so much.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday again, as you can see, the old background. It was awesome meeting Joe for the first time, and it was awesome meeting King David for the first time. And Gaz, chatting with you again has been a blast. You can catch me on my Twitch channel tomorrow, where I'm continuing Alien Isolation. Moved it from Monday to Thursday because it was just too hot Monday. That's the _general_C, and that's the same on Twitter. Yeah, it's been a
Awesome stuff.
blast.
Yes, yes, it has. Yes, it has indeed. And again, a massive shout out to the community. More than 50 people watching again today, which is absolutely awesome. Seen some awesome comments in the chat as well. Again, as always, thankfully, our community's always fun games, talking with each other, keeping it civil. There's never any toxicity here, which is always great to see. Thankfully, we haven't hit the point where we get those toxic faces in, but when they do, they dive out quick. So. Because it's not like that here.
At least the bots haven't been in the chat.
The bots haven't been in chat today, I know. It's
odd,
surprising.
isn't it?
We've dodged this
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
We usually get the porn bots.
The
I'm
bots
surprised
are
when you
like,
mentioned Lube Unchained didn't just flock in.
Yeah, as soon as that came up, I thought it was just going to start dinging all the way down the chat.
Well, it's been awesome, and
Oh, yeah,
seen
I
it.
actually bought Hypercharge on Steam, so I'm going to be playing that on Saturday instead of Hunt
thank
Showdown.
you.
Yeah,
That's
I've got it on my
awesome,
Steam
but
Deck.
yeah, I seen another comment in chat as well that I want to highlight, and that was from R.L. Stein. Not the actual author, but obviously a big fan. He said, "Hi, I haven't seen you live in a while, but want to say thank you and excellent job on the indie showcase which you put on. Great show, legend. Of course, as we mentioned earlier on as well, we did the indie showcase, which has now had over 21,000 views. For a channel of our size, of course, which is only 1,500 subs as it stands, 21,000 views far eclipses the reach that we would normally have. So that's absolutely unbelievable to see. And of course, highlighting indie games is a passion of ours that we want to do properly every year. So over 70 games this year, many games given away, developers involved as usual. And of course, next year we'll have 2 indie showcases, one at the beginning of the year, and again, one the tail end of the year. So we'll be highlighting even more awesome indie developers and games again next year. In our good old-fashioned fashion there, hopefully get Aaron Greenberg involved again and a few more of the different big faces. It was awesome to see, and of course, we'll be looking forward to doing that again. But massive shout-out to everybody. Thank you for coming along again to watch this podcast every week. We couldn't do it without you. Hope you have an absolutely awesome night. And again, until next week, we will see you all again later. Good night.
Peace.